Good morning and welcome to the Mike Graham Show. I'm Mike Graham and this is the Mike Graham Show. It's 7 o'clock, it's Tuesday the 10th of March and we are here, ladies and gentlemen, for your delectation. As you can see behind me, the sign. No, that's not the sign, that's the clock. The sign is still not here. The sign has been taken away. It is being picked up and fixed. We're not quite sure how long it's going to take, but it will be fixed very soon. So for those of you who are missing it, I'm missing it too, because every time I look and see behind me on the wall, I don't know whose show I'm doing, because it doesn't say. So, I mean, I just have to ask Russell Quirk. Very good morning to you, Russell.
Good morning. It's like you're naked without it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the first day we didn't have it, because when it wasn't working, but it was still there, I quite liked it.
What happened? Did it just stop illuminating?
Fused or something? I don't know. Yeah, we don't know.
That's because of the atmosphere.
But they've got to take it away and fix it. It's one of those. So anyway, meanwhile, we've also fixed the clock. You might have noticed behind me, the international clock, the blue clock, is now working. So for those of you who have been confused about what time it is, according to this, it's 1 minute past 7. So there you go. It's actually a little bit fast. 1 minute and 35 seconds past 7.
Isn't it great to know, Mike, that people are actually relying on your show to know what time it is in the world?
It is.
Right? So it used to be Big Ben, of course, but now it's
Big Ben.
Mike's clock.
But you know, Big Ben's never been as reliable since they stopped making it chime. Do you remember when they put it out of commission for a while, while they were refurbing it?
Did it offend a few Londoners' sensitive ears? Is that what it was?
I think no, they had to clean it, and so as a result of cleaning it, they couldn't, because of
get the
health
chime
and
back.
safety. They couldn't have the guys up there cleaning it and it go brung, and they'd all sort of reverberate and get their ears blown out. So they had to stop.
So wokeism has even got to Big Ben.
Do you know where there is a clock though which chimes, which I hear quite often now because I go there quite a lot? Selfridges. Selfridges have got a clock.
What, inside?
No, outside.
Oh, outside.
So on the main entrance of Selfridges on Oxford Street, if you're walking past at either the top of the hour or quarter past or half past or quarter to,
chimes.
It actually chimes.
Oh, I wonder how accurate it is.
It's great. And there's always loads of Japanese tourists out there taking pictures of it. You know, as it goes. Anyway, listen, this morning, all the papers, of course, have got something about Donald Trump on the front. Iran war is pretty much over, says Trump on the front page of the Daily Mail. Trump war is near the end, says The Sun. Iran has nothing left and the war is nearly over, says The Times. And then we've got the I newspaper, which says the Trump-Starmer phone call was particularly unfriendly, much more so. Now, I'm happy to say, in some ways, that Russell's brought some different papers in today. He brought The Guardian in, which we don't normally have.
It was on the floor, outside a shop, and some people were treading all over it.
They've got Reeves warns of cost of living rises, war in Iran heights energy prices. Rachel Reeves yesterday in the House of Commons made absolutely no sense at all.
No.
Came out and said, we understand that people are struggling to pay their heating oil bills. Oh, really, you think? Because they've gone up by double.
Can I just say, though, I don't want people thinking that I buy The Guardian every day.
No.
I picked up a clutch of papers on the way in, some of which have been duplicated. That's just to be very,
very clear.
very
You've given me the opportunity to do something I haven't done in ages, right?
Which is what?
Which is to rip up The Guardian, right? Because I used to do this, right, as a general kind of, you know, to hell with them type scenario. And so I think we might as well do it some more.
Well, you're not going to offend anyone, because, of course, the only people that actually buy The Guardian are people in the public sector.
Yeah, exactly. And the BBC. Do you know, if it wasn't the BBC, they'd have no circulation at all. Yeah. There we go. The Guardian.
I look forward to clearing it up.
Thanks for bringing it in.
That's right, pleasure.
I'll clean it up, don't worry, Pooch. I will clean it up.
Same again next week.
I'm not one of those people that leaves, although I used to do a talk when I tore it up, and people would go, who's going to pick? I said, well, I'm not picking it up, you pick it up. You know, there's thousands of you. But we've also got the Daily Express, freeze duty call as fuel to hit £2 a litre. It nearly hit £2 a litre before, didn't it? Back in the days when when Russia invaded Ukraine or something.
Yeah, it did. It spiked, didn't it? But this is, I think we talked about this last week, actually, in brief, insofar as the fact that obviously oil prices have spiked because of the Iranian crisis and so on.
Yeah.
But the petrol forecourts immediately put the cost of a litre of fuel up, even though the stuff that was in the tank obviously predated the war itself. It'd be very interesting because, of course, now that Trump, as I'm sure we'll talk about, has made his speech as he has to say that the war is over, you know, it's complete, you know, it's almost like a game to him, isn't it? Right, completed that one, let's move on to the next one. I don't know what the next one is, by the way. Right. France, maybe.
Well, he says they've got no ships. We've got a couple of good clips of Trump, actually. Should we do a couple of those, Pooch? The first one, where he talks about the ships, is actually really good. Where are we? I think it's number 6. Yeah. Have a look.
We're crushing the enemy in an overwhelming display of technical skill and military force. Iran's drone and missile capability is being utterly demolished. The Navy is gone. It's all lying at the bottom of the ocean. 46 ships. Can you believe it? In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, what quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line. I said, why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them? They said, it's more fun to sink them. I said, that's they like sinking them better. They say it's safer to sink them. I guess it's probably true. But think of it, we knocked out 46, it actually took 3.5 days. Their terrorist leaders are gone. We're counting down the minutes until they will be gone. Think of it, we had leaders and they're gone. Then we had new leaders and they're gone. And now nobody has any idea who the people are that are going to be the head of the country, and will not relent until the enemy is totally and decisively defeated.
You've got to love that, haven't you?
Well, but here's the thing, you know what we should have done? If there's 46 Iranian ships at the bottom of the sea, I mean, he's thinking about, hang on, dredge them back up and send them for scrap, because he's the epitome of a businessman. But you know what we should have done is given it to our Navy, because we've got no bloody ships at all.
We haven't got any.
So we might as well have had, we could have just rebadged.
We've got loads of ships, but they're all in the dry dock, being fixed up.
But we could have rebadged the Iranians as British ships.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
It turns out we're not now sending any ships at all, right?
No,
so
not
the
even an
decision
aircraft
was
carrier.
taken late yesterday that the aircraft carrier HMS, what's it called?
Dragon.
Prince Andrew? Oh,
No,
not that.
HMS Dragon. I think is a frigate, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
As a destroyer, but they were going to say. I think it's the Prince of Wales, maybe.
Yeah.
The aircraft carrier that was going to go. They're now not sending the aircraft carrier because the French have decided to basically go and patrol the Straits of Hormuz.
Yes.
And they're going to take care of everything.
Yes, we've got the French
we've been rescued
defending-
by the French Navy now.
Yeah, I mean, the irony of that. So, yes, we've got the French defending us and also the Greeks, of course. I mean, once upon a time, we used to have quite the Navy.
We
didn't
did.
I mean, what would Nelson be
Oh, do you
saying
know
right
that
now?
song? Rule Britannia.
Yeah.
There's a line in it that says Britain rules
Rules
the
the
waves.
waves, not anymore.
No, we can't even get out of Portsmouth.
Yeah. No, we rule the maintenance
We don't even rule
dockyards.
the Solent,
No,
to be honest.
Solent.
You know, where are we? Well, there's a Solent over there.
The Serpentine.
Can you get to the Isle of Wight? No, I'm afraid not. No, we haven't got enough petrol.
Yeah.
It's too expensive.
What a colossal embarrassment we are.
It really is.
Yeah.
But also, how useless is John Healey? You know, when he got in first as a Defence Secretary, people were saying, oh, he's a very, very safe pair of hands, very sensible man. You know, he's the sort of the acceptable face of the Labour government. And he may, in fact, end up being the caretaker kind of
PM when he goes.
Prime Minister, because when Starmer goes, instead of getting a nutter like Angela Rayner or Ed Miliband, you give it to Healey. But he's proved himself to be completely useless, actually worse than useless.
But not just useless when it comes to the execution of his job, but also useless when it comes to the media rounds. I mean, he's not been very impressive at all.
Not at all, no.
Actually, when he was the housing minister, so back in the previous Labour government, he was the worst housing minister
Was
that
that
the
under
country's
Blair?
under Blair,
Right.
Brown,
Yeah.
2009-10.
Okay.
He built the fewest houses that this country has built ever.
Really?
Yeah. So terrible housing secretary, terrible defence secretary.
Yeah, funny. Everyone called Healey's not very good. Remember Dennis Healey? He wasn't really good either.
Cap in hand to the
You know,
IMF.
absolutely useless.
Some of us old enough
Completely
to remember.
hopeless. A couple of other stories to mention. We've got Lammy big in the news today because he's on the front page of the Telegraph. There's a vote, I think, in Parliament today on the jury trial situation.
Yeah.
And there's meant to be a big revolt. As many as 65 Labour MPs, they think, might actually vote against his plan to do away with jury trials. He's warning the MPs on the backbenches not to vote against him because there's going to be terrible repercussions if they do. I don't know why this man is even still in government.
There's another irony there, isn't there? The fact that we're talking about people being able to vote for something which takes away the right of someone to have a proper jury defence. I mean, this is, I know this has been well rehearsed, but this is one of the cornerstones of what this country is supposed to be all about, isn't it? You know, the whole kind of right to a trial by jury, and the fact that Lammy and his cronies are going to take it away from us. I mean, it's literally that creeping Orwellian communistic thing, isn't it? So, you know, we censor all of our opponents, we stop social media, we put everybody that we don't like in prison, we start doorstepping journalists and so on. And literally the whole Orwell novel, 1984, is playing out in front of our very eyes. And the final nail, I guess, is you can't even go and expect to be defended properly in a jury trial because they won't exist. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. How can anyone, excuse me, how can anyone possibly vote for the erosion of justice?
I know. It's incredible. Although, bizarrely, apparently it turns out that you've got more chance of actually being convicted by a jury than you have of being convicted by a magistrate or a judge, which happens to be just one of those statistics which literally means
I suppose
nothing.
it depends on the crime, but do we really trust the liberal judiciary?
No.
You know, those that let people like Hugh Edwards off the hook.
Yes.
And at the same time, you know, you get situations where, you know, you get someone tries to stab someone that gets kind of, you know, 6 weeks community service, and the people that rail against him, you know, being a provocateur or, you know, being an asylum seeker, as some of them might be, they're the ones that then go and get 3 years in prison, not the assailant. I mean, that's where our judiciary is. So do we have any faith in our judiciary carrying out proper decisions when it comes to non-jury trials in the future. No,
No.
we don't. We should be very concerned indeed.
Also, you have to be very careful. I mean, we keep being told relentlessly, whenever there's a conversation about should we bring back capital punishment or should we have Home Secretaries intervene in judicial cases where the sentence hasn't been serious enough. And everybody goes, oh, no, you can't have politicians interfering in the judicial process. That's all got to be left to the judges. Well, hang on a minute. But what's David Lammy doing then?
Well, and also tell Lucy Connolly that. Some of the I and you, I'm sure, have interviewed,
Yes.
where it's now become increasingly evident, very evident indeed, that Lord Hermer and Keir Starmer intervened in that process to make sure that she was seen, A, as an example, and B, therefore, as a political prisoner.
Yeah.
The fact that her case was fast-tracked, she was forced or coerced, shall we say, to plead guilty and so on.
No
so
question.
don't ever tell us as a public that the politicians, when it suits them, don't get involved in
This
justice
particular
and legal
government
trials.
absolutely does.
They do.
And also, I was listening to a show last night in which I was being told by somebody sort of as an inside source in the Labour Party who said that there were Labour Party lawyers who wanted to brief various backbench MPs on the law and to tell them exactly where they could make their decisions based upon what the law said about juries and about judicial matters, and they were blocked from doing it.
Yeah.
So the government didn't want the information to be given to backbench MPs so they could make up
so
their
they were
own
properly
minds.
armed with the facts.
So that they could have any actual legal facts that they just, oh no, you don't want to do that. I mean, this is the trouble with this government. They're trying so hard to make it difficult for anybody to access any information.
And they're closing people down. It's tyranny. Lammy's also in the news, of course, because Lammy is the one. I mean, get this. Let me just outline something this will really get you going and get your heckles up. Ian Huntley, who fortunately died the last few days.
Yes, how sad.
He is obviously going to have a funeral, which apparently is going to be paid
Why does he
for.
have to have a funeral?
Well, I think just put him in a skip.
Yeah. Why would you bother having a funeral
Just stick
for
him in the back of a van and just dump him somewhere.
Yeah.
But no, apparently the prison service rules say that if a prisoner dies in custody, they should be afforded not just a funeral, but a memorial service at a cost to the taxpayer of up to, wait for it, £3,000.
Crikey.
The only person that can decide that is an inappropriate and can overrule that is, unfortunately, David Lammy. So what do you think he's going to do?
He's going to say it's a good idea.
He's probably going to go to the memorial service.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
He'll be there in the crowd.
Oh my God! What an absolute disgrace!
£3,000.
That's ridiculous.
I know, of course it is.
Totally and utterly mad. But this is the trouble: when you leave with these people in charge of anything, they make a complete rick of it.
Yeah,
complete nonsense.
But also, there's the political game, Mike, isn't there? That you would imagine there's an advisor somewhere in Downing Street saying to Keir Starmer or David Lammy, and this might sound inappropriate, but I'm afraid this is the way that politics often works, which is to say you could actually score a real big PR point here, Minister, by stopping that process and not allowing that £3,000 to be spent on Ian Huntley's memorial service. It would be a PR coup.
Yeah.
But they've got such a lack of political judgment and compass. I suspect that won't happen.
No.
And it should happen for all the right reasons. We should not be celebrating and funding Ian Huntley's funeral. But David Lammy, I just don't think he's got the political nous
But they've
to
got
understand
the
the
trouble is
right
because
thing.
you know why? Because the government is riddled with bleeding lawyers, right? I was watching Michael Gove last night on GB News. He was one of the shows, and he was talking about why it would be that, for example, the IIGC has never been prescribed as a terrorist organisation. And he said, quite frankly, it's all everything to do with the Foreign Office lawyers. Because Foreign Office lawyers will be going by the letter of the law, which says that if you are attached to a state, i.e. you are a weapon of the state, as the IRGC is in Iran, you can't be prescribed as a terrorist organisation.
Even if they're acting like terrorists.
Even though you are a terrorist organisation, because you're run by the state.
But do these people
and the
not,
law says you can't do... What?
But these people do understand that as legislators, as members of Parliament and the government, they actually are empowered to change the law.
Exactly.
I mean, I know we just talked about that in terms of jury trials, which is the wrong thing to do. But actually, if there's something that stands in the way of doing the right thing, they can actually change the law to make it the right thing.
No, exactly. But also making laws is very different from administrating them, if you know what I mean. So to change the jury system is a completely different thing than actually making a law which will crack down on something which you previously couldn't crack down on because there was no law to do it. That's the point, right? And speaking of which, how about this? The front page of the Times and the Telegraph, Steve Reid yesterday got up in Parliament and announced that we are going to now have some kind of investigation into hostility against Muslims, right? So offices, schools, councils, every organisation in Britain is now going to be asked to look out for hostility towards Muslims, right?
Yeah.
Anti-Muslim hostility is defined as intentionally engaging in assisting or encouraging criminal acts, including acts of violence, vandalism, harassment or intimidation, whether physical, verbal, written or electronically communicated, that are directed at Muslims because of their religion or at those who are perceived to be Muslim. And you just go, hang on a minute, what exactly where are you going with this, right? And broadcasters are also included.
Well, we know where they're going with it, which is a definition of Islamophobia, which will be to curtail freedom of speech.
Yeah.
This is pandering yet again to the Muslim vote, because, of course, at the moment, I mean, the Labour Party, for many, many years, have pandered to the Muslim vote, because it's a block vote that obviously helps them in many, many areas of the country get elected. But they're now absolutely crapping themselves as a consequence of Gorton and Denton, because they know that a big chunk of that Muslim vote, of course, is going to the Greens, which is why a load of Labour MPs apparently are in talks, as Zach Palensky overnight has admitted, to
defecting to Labour.
From Labour to the Greens.
To the Greens.
So this
how stupid you have to be to do that?
But this is pandering. This is absolute pandering. But I don't remember Steve Reed, Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves, or Yvette Cooper talking about looking out for hostility from Muslim extremists. And, you know, we've seen a few instances over the last 15 or 20 years, haven't we, of Muslim and Islamophobic extremism
we have.
Unleashing itself.
There's a reason why some people are hostile towards certain Muslim groups, because, you know, they keep trying to bomb us and blow us up.
Because I'm afraid, yes, the majority of terror attacks do come from Muslim extremists, and I use the word extremists purposely, because obviously it's not all Muslims. But yeah, we seem to not think about that, not talk about that. I mean, surely we should be looking out more for signs of extremism. You know, the future Axel Rudabakanas of this world, right? But no one ever goes out as a politician
like
on the
studying
left.
terrorist manuals online, that sort of thing.
Well, and having, rice in recipes under his bed.
Yeah, right.
That's a bit of a clue.
It is a bit of a clue.
I would have thought.
Yeah, how about this from Steve Reed? It is critical that we now carry out the work to ensure that the definition is disseminated widely through local governments, schools, universities, the NHS, broadcasters as well, right? So that it can have the biggest impact possible in protecting Muslims from abuse and discrimination.
So when they say broadcasters, I mean, that means that you or I could leave this room at the end of a show and be arrested because of what we've just said.
Yes.
Because we've now just said, well, hang on, I think Muslim extremism might be a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
You can't say that, apparently.
Exactly. And this is how it starts to get bleeding ridiculous.
This is the Orwellian creep.
It sets out examples of expression that would be protected, such as criticising a religion, including Islam, or its practices, ridiculing or insulting a religion or belief. So you can't make a joke about it now, right? You can't make fun of somebody wearing a burqa because that might be illegal. That's ridiculous, right?
I know.
Portraying it in a manner that some of its adherents might find disrespectful or scandalous. Again, back to the person who wants to be offended. You know, I don't like what you said about me, therefore I'm going to call the police. I mean, ridiculous, right? Raising concerns in the public interest and contributing to debates. I mean, of course, the Tories actually at least are standing up against this, and as I'm sure Reform will as well. And free speech advocates say this is ridiculous, you know, because it's this whole Islamophobia, blasphemy law through the back door. You know, this is a free country, should be. We should be able to say what we like. I'm sorry if you don't like me making fun of your religion, but I reserve the right to make fun of every religion.
But for years we've made fun of the Catholic religion and what priests have been up to over the decades.
People make fun of people who believe that there's a man in the sky that rules everything.
We've taken the piss out of various, you know, archbishops of Canterbury and the Dalai Lama. I mean, it's all fine, isn't it?
I would have thought so.
That's a fundamental tenet of freedom of speech.
Exactly.
You have the right to your religion. I have the right to take the piss out of it.
Exactly. And I don't see why that should be changed. And I certainly don't see why it should be changed.
But it's a one-way street, isn't it? Because they're not talking about this being, you know, if you happen to be some kind of, not extreme, but some exaggerated Christian
Seventh-day Adventist.
Or
Mormon.
Like
I mean, people make fun of the Mormons, you know, all the time.
But that wouldn't be a hate crime.
Presumably not.
No.
I don't know. It makes no sense, does it?
Or two-tier nonsense.
Absolutely ridiculous. Let's go back to John Healey, because he was in the Commons yesterday as well, talking about protecting British people. This will make you laugh, right? This is apparently what he thinks he's doing as the Secretary of State for Defence.
And as Defence Secretary, my number one priority is protecting British people, military and civilian alike. Since January, we've moved significant military assets into the region ahead of those first US-Israeli strikes. And those preparations made a real difference. It meant we've conducted defensive military operations from day one. Our F-35s destroying Iranian drones over Jordan. Our Typhoons shooting down targets heading to Qatar. Our counter-drone units, defeating further attacks against coalition bases in Iraq. We acted early to protect British people and British interests and to support our allies. And as the Iranian response became clear from last weekend, we adapted our actions to the changing circumstances, driven at all times by military advice. So that's why we...
Is he watching the same war that we are?
Well, but you know,
how is he protecting anyone? We haven't got any ships anywhere.
No, but there's nothing being protected, is there at all? Yeah, we haven't got any ships, but we've been inactive. I mean, that's the reality of how we've handled the whole Iranian thing. But don't we now, we've got to the stage, I think, 18 months into this government, where whenever a front bencher stands up, whether it's him, whether it's Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves, or David Lammy or whoever, Steve Reed, we just don't listen to them anymore. I mean, I literally zone out. I switch off.
Well, Rachel Reeves was a good example yesterday. I don't think we've got a clip of her today, but she just got up and started talking about, you know, it was almost like white noise.
Yes.
You know, cost of living crisis, you know, it's nothing to do with us because, you know, we're going to be keeping an eye on. And she just said things they might do.
It's almost as if they've got some kind of fiction writer in Downing Street writing these speeches, these edicts. Rachel Reeves, I mean, the worrying thing, the really irritating thing about this whole Iran war and how it had previously spiked oil prices, although just to be clear, they came down by about $30 a barrel yesterday.
Yes.
So, you know, it doesn't look like we're going to hit £2 a litre.
No.
Although maybe your local... Texaco, BP or whatever might keep prices high because that would be profiteering.
Well, they will.
Where's the CMA when you need them?
But also, they will be, she's signalled that she's not going to stop putting up fuel duty in September. So when September comes along...
But she was banging on yesterday about how she's frozen fuel duty, which, by the way, every Chancellor for about the last 15 years has done, and how she should be applauded for that, because otherwise things would be even worse.
Well, she actually put out a tweet that said something like, you know, well, if I hadn't done this, you'd be paying a lot more.
Yeah.
And you kind of go, well so that's a double negative.
But that's always like saying, if I'd put tax up to 90%, you'd be worse off.
You'd be worse off, exactly.
Yeah, but it's a complete hypothetical.
Exactly.
It's nonsense.
So a piece in The Sun today by Nigel Farage and Robert Jenrick saying it's so fuelish. Rachel Reeves' crazy plan to put petrol tax up at the worst possible moment must be scrapped.
Yeah. Well, the reform policy now is we are going to, and I say we because I'm an elected reform councillor, we're going to cut fuel duty by 5 pence a litre.
Yeah.
Because not only is that better in terms of the cost of fuel, as is obvious, but obviously it has implications on the whole food chain, transport and so on. So the cover now, though, that unfortunately Rachel Reeves has got, so she's been, as we know, a completely hapless chancellor. So she's destroyed the economy. We've got barely any growth, unemployment rising, inflation not where it should be, despite the fact she's taking the credit for it dropping. The trouble is now, because of what's happening in Iran and fuel prices and the knock-on effect, she's getting her excuses in early now, Rachel Reeves, to say, well, it might not be quite as good as I thought it was going to be in the next 12 months. No, it was going to be terrible, but now she can blame the Iran war.
Well, that's exactly right. And that's what politicians love, you know. And she must be absolutely loving this because she can just go, well, that's nothing to do with me. I can't do anything about it, except for the fact that gas prices in this country are higher than anywhere else in Europe.
In the world,
as is oil prices, heating oil prices higher than anywhere else in Europe. Much bigger than they are in America. Petrol prices the same. Most expensive electricity in the world. You know, thanks to Ed Millipede.
Well, I think our gas is something like 3 times more expensive than the US because, of course, they use shale gas. They frack. We don't. What we do actually is say to the Norwegians, well, why don't you pump our oil out of the North Sea and sell it back to us at a huge increase in cost?
Exactly.
Makes perfect sense.
And the thing about the Norwegians is that they manage to maintain what they call a green economy because they export most of their oil and gas, which we could also do, by the way. We could keep some of it, but we could also export it. That way we would make money and we could also pretend to be green.
And they also have a huge and very lucrative sovereign wealth fund, which of course we don't have, all because of the oil that we should now be mining, but we're not because of Ed bloody Miliband.
Yeah, absolutely right. Did you say we got Rachel Reeves, Pooch? Oh, let's have a look. Come on then. Richard III. Here we go.
Oh,
no?
no, sorry.
We'll have to act it out.
Yeah. Well, I'll do the hunchback. And my horse.
And I'll do the boring maze. I'll do the boring maze.
The price cap for domestic bills for April will not change, giving families immediate certainty on their bills until at least the end of June. However, I recognise that households who use heating oil face unique challenges. And so I have asked the Financial Secretary to the Treasury to lead discussions with officials and with rural and Northern Irish MPs to explore further action that we can take. And those meetings will happen on Wednesday. The current conflict only increases the importance of the action I took at the budget to reduce energy bills. A rapid de-escalation in the Middle East remains the best way to protect us from rising energy bills. But as the situation continues to unfold, my priorities will continue to be helping families with the cost of living and protecting the public finances. I'm also taking action to ensure that people pay the lowest possible price at the pump. In November, I extended the 5p per litre cut in fuel duty for a further 5 months and ensured that fuel duty will not increase in line with inflation this year.
Actually, Dobby is but the sort of more malevolent version is Nosferatu, kind of. But anyway, listen, we've got lots of great super chats coming in, so do keep sending them in. But yesterday, when Emma Wolf was here, there was a bit of a conversation being had about my hair, because people say I should get my hair cut. In fact, my next door neighbour, we got home yesterday, she said, I watched the show, really enjoyed it. You do need to get a haircut, right? So people have put in different haircuts for me. So we've decided to make it into today's poll. A selection of new haircuts for you. Skinhead is the top left. 60s beat on the right, which looks a bit like Austin Powers for me. The one down below, Teddy Boy, bottom left, which is not bad. And then the most ridiculous one is a punk one. So the idea is I'm going to get my hair cut by the partner of a woman who we've interviewed on the show from somewhere up in Oldham.
Are you actually going to do this?
He's going to come down and cut my hair in the studio while we're filming Plonk of the Week in a couple of weeks' time.
Well, you mean you need to be drunk to have this done?
No. It's Pooch's idea. I always do what I'm told by Pooch, as you know. And he thinks it would make for quite good television.
So my pick would definitely
Well, I don't know who's going to clean that up.
yeah, I'll sweep up the hair. So my pick would definitely be that Paul McCartney look.
Yeah, the Beatles
So I'd love
one.
to see you looking a bit Paul McCartney, a bit Ringo.
Mop top.
Yeah,
That's the top right. Yeah, okay. All
That
right.
would definitely not suit you. So
Well, that is
therefore,
today's.
that's what you should have done.
The trouble is, it gets to the point, and this used to be in the days before I worked at Talk, and I had the round-the-clock hairdressers and makeup girls who used to just trim it all the time, so it never really needed cutting.
You probably haven't been to a barber's for years.
I hadn't. Well, when I went to get it cut after I left, I said, "You won't believe this." I said, "I haven't been to a hairdresser's for 4 years."
Yeah.
Because I've had these, and he was looking at me.
I remember seeing you just as that was all unfolding.
Yeah.
You had that haircut, like a bit of a buzz cut.
It was a bit of a
You looked
buzz
like a
cut.
4-star American general.
I know, it was a bit extreme. It wasn't what I'd
Ollie
asked for,
North,
to be honest. Yeah, I know, absolutely right. So the point is this, if you vote on that, maybe what we'll do is get the hairdresser to do it in whichever style you want. But the trouble is, as it goes, I quite like the way it looks now.
Yeah.
I quite like it sort of
I don't know why
longer.
people are so obsessed with your hair.
Well, listen.
And clocks.
And clocks. The clock behind me. There's quite a few messages coming in. Here's a super chat from Pokemon Blue. Hello, Mike. Love the show. Have you invited Peter Hitchens onto the show? We have. Also, when issues like the jury trial legislation come up, what is it you recommend citizens can do to help stop it? Thank you and God bless you. Well, I know this is going to sound like a bit of a hoary old suggestion, but if you write to your local MP, if it's a Labour MP or whatever, and just say, look, if you do this, I will never vote for you again.
But they know that's kind of how it's going to plan out.
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, maybe, but it's still it's always worth doing that.
It is.
Because the thing about MPs is that they're mostly weasels, right? And the more letters they get and the more strong feeling they see, the more likely they are to go to the top of the people at the party and say, hang on a minute, you've got to be really careful here because this could lose us the next election, in addition to everything else.
The way this normally plays out is, obviously, parliamentary term's 5 years. For the first 3 years or so, MPs do what the party tell them because they want to be seen and favoured, they want jobs in, as ministerial positions. In the last couple of years, you're right, actually MPs start thinking about the public because they want to get voted back in. So I guess, even though most MPs on the Labour benches know they're not going to get voted back in, they might now be thinking, well, maybe there is a bit of hope. Maybe there's a bit of hope, particularly if they're going to start defecting.
If they're going to start defecting to the Greens,
and reform,
and then reform, and suddenly they go, actually, I did what my constituents wanted.
Yes.
And then the constituent can say, a bit like Jeremy Corbyn. I mean, Jeremy Corbyn held on to his seat in North London, didn't he?
Yeah.
When he left the Labour Party and became independent, and now he's with your party, God knows why. Yeah. But he maintained his loyal support because he's always stood up for them, and he's always said the same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
So that shift in loyalty may happen,
Yeah.
and of course maybe force a U-turn. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the Labour government have done any of those over the last few months. But
Not really. No, the thing the Labour government are really famous for is sticking with a plan.
They do. They've never changed their
They've
mind.
never changed their mind
No,
at all.
not 16 or 17 times.
No, I think certainly not even 23 or
Yeah,
24
no, they're
times.
solid, aren't they?
Very solid.
Stay the course.
Particularly when they say we're not involved in the attacks on Iran. And then you get old Healey standing up now going, oh yeah, we're out there with planes, we're hitting drones.
Can you just imagine Keir Starmer sitting in front of an old VHS of Margaret Thatcher standing up saying this lady's not for turning, and
Yes.
he's repeating it over and over again to try not to U-turn on the next thing, the next week,
I know.
that inevitably otherwise he would be U-turning on.
Yeah, well, he was up making more speeches yesterday, which we'll play you in a little while. But I'll tell you what, I'm getting a lot of messages from people saying, can you open something? Because we've got lots of people who've sent things in, and this says gift advice.
Do you worry about opening stuff just in case it might be a bit illicit?
No.
A bit dangerous.
Oh, it looks like a paper. It could be a paper opener. Is it? What do you call it? Paper cutter? Paper
letter opener.
Letter opener. There you go. Oh, look at this. Or either that, or it's this knife to stab you with.
Is it engraved?
It's engraved. It says the Mike Graham Show. Look at that.
Oh my God, look at that.
Isn't that nice?
Who's that
If I do that, can you see it? Why is that not working? It's in the wrong thing. There is a note in there.
Love, do you want me to read it?
Yeah,
Love,
go on.
Sarah Elliott.
Sarah Elliott. Thank you, Sarah Elliott. That's lovely.
I hope you like your gift. Your show is just the best.
This is lovely.
Especially love your giggles.
It's very heavy as well. You can always tell when something's very well made. Feel the quality of that.
Wow.
As they say. That's lovely. Thank you very much. Also, we got this book yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to finish it. It's a guy who used to be apparently a motoring journalist who was cancelled because he basically dissed a load of electric vehicles, and so nobody would use them again. Right? So
I like him already.
Yeah, he's written a book. His name is James, right? And he's written this Mad Millivolts Solar Factories book. He's basically adapted King Solomon's Mines. And written
So he's
about
dissing the whole environmental premise of
pretty
EVs.
much,
As he
pretty
should,
much,
of course.
as he should. Yeah, so that's good. We'll open some more things as well.
Yeah.
Pooch is back now, though. I think so. We're wondering. Just because we want to see, we watch a little bit of Starmer later. Actually, I think Kelvin Mackenzie's in the house. Very good morning to you, Kelvin. Should we have a look at Intel Lady? Because coming up, I don't know if you can flash up the sign as well, because we've got this show coming up on May the 6th, live show at Shepherd's Bush Empire, which is effectively going to be, I think, the Mike Graham Show live. Intel Lady's going to be there. There you go. You can still get tickets on Ticketmaster. Check it out. But Intel Lady, who is an absolutely brilliant mimic, has done one of the greatest pieces that she's ever done, where she plays Emily Maitlis interviewing Hannah Spencer, right? This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Check it out.
Give me 2 seconds.
And she's going to be at the show as well, along with...
So let's come back to the war that's broken out in Iran. And I would like to know, how would the Green Party navigate the war if they were in charge, if they were in government? How would they navigate this very volatile situation? I think if the Green Party were in government during time of war, I think Zach would be absolutely amazing at bringing all sides together and sitting them down and saying, right, first of all, let's do some basic breathing exercises, like deep breathing through the nose and out through the mouth. And then afterwards, I think he'd say, like, let's dig deep into like internalized trauma that might have caused you to like take out 30,000-40,000 of your own people. Like, where is that hurt in your life? Where is that trauma? And I think that would go down really well, because this is something, that Donald Trump is just not capable of doing. Like, that man does not know how to sit and talk to people. He's not a talker, and he doesn't know how to negotiate anything. Like, he has no experience when it comes to negotiating. And I think Zach would use this different approach, and I think it would definitely make a massive difference. And they would just go, we need to just lay down our arms and not try and like blow people up and that when they
Intel Lady, brilliant.
Well, who knew that the answer to the whole Iranian problem was we should employ more breathing exercises?
Yeah, well,
makes perfect sense.
It does make as much sense.
But isn't Intel Lady smart? talented,
Very clever.
And the fact that Hannah Spencer's only been on the scene for 3 or 4 weeks.
And the hair,
she's already mastered
her hair
it.
is perfect.
Yeah,
right?
and I love
voice,
the Emily make this fake tan.
Emily makes this fake tan. Also, she does a great Angela Rayner.
She does, I know.
She does.
She's helped me out with an Angela Rayner impression very recently as part of a property thing I'm doing. So,
good. She does a great Rachel Reeves as well. Anyway, she'll be there. So if you made the 6th, it's a Wednesday night.
A commercial idea.
Yes.
Eh?
What a clever idea.
Yeah.
What a stunning idea.
You'll have to watch it. It's on YouTube, Kelvin.
You know, we're live here, Kelvin, you know, if you don't mind.
It just wanders in, doesn't it? It takes over, does what you want.
I'm adding to the audience.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Well, we'll see. Well, we'll see about that.
Can I talk about a story that's really going to irritate Kelvin?
Yes.
So a bookkeeper whose boss repeatedly shouted potato at her because she's Irish in a mock Irish accent has been awarded more than £23,000 after an employment tribunal ruled that she had been racially harassed at work. So you can't even
Was this in Britain?
This is in Britain,
right.
yeah. This is Bernadette Hayes, 55 years old. She faced harassment over her race, apparently, while working at a civil engineering company in Leeds, a tribunal heard. So Mick Atkins, the company director, who very playfully shouted, potato, at her as she walked in every morning.
I suppose it'd be...
Just like that, by the way. Every morning, he's now £23,000 poorer.
Well, he's not very smart, is he, this guy? Because he's got to...
He's worth a 23 grand fine.
Well, he should know, but you should know in this day and age, you can't
say anything.
Well, do it once, but if you keep doing it, you're probably going to get taken to court.
Yeah, he did it quite a lot. Look, I'm not saying it's not an insult and it's insensitive. Of course it is because of the potato famine, but that was... Oh my, getting into really hot
Well, I'm pretty sure she wasn't.
years ago.
She probably wasn't involved in that.
But is it worthy of a tribunal award of £23,000?
But this is the world. Unfortunately, this is the world we live in, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you're running a business, this is why you have to be careful what you say.
You can't do anything. But that's why a lot of mates of mine now, they've either gone off to Dubai, or a mate of mine that owns a big car dealership has just said, I'm selling it, I'm going. Yeah. He said, because I've got legal actions left, right and centre from ex-employees. He said, I don't need this crap
for
anymore.
people who just left and decided they want to sue.
He said, or people that decide they've got anxiety and don't come into work, so he sacks them, and they go to a tribunal and win.
Yeah, of course. And now Labour are going to give them the right to do that on day one.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't want to come in on day 2, here's 25 grand.
Yeah, so people just don't want to employ anybody anymore.
Absolutely.
No wonder unemployment's going
Russell
up.
needs his own show, it says here, Easy Boy. Yeah, well, we might have some news on that coming up. We might have some news on all sorts of things coming up on that front, actually, vis-a-vis Mr Mackenzie. If Parliament is there to hold ministers accountable, says Timothy, then the Speaker must make the ministers answer the questions actually asked. As he does not hold them accountable, Parliament's failing in its duty. True. I think old Lindsay Hoyle is about the worst Speaker of the House that we've ever had.
Is he in the country?
No, probably not. No, he's spreading democracy to yet another luxury resort in the Caribbean.
It's always sandals in the Caribbean.
He never goes to Nepal to spread the word. Does he?
No, Kosovo.
It's always Nevis or Barbados or something like that.
You know,
very nice Western hotel resort overlooking the.
And it's only 5-star hotels and first-class flights that are available.
Yeah, and he hates being pulled up on it as well.
Yeah.
If you criticise him at all, you get a very strong letter from his office.
He's not part of the elite establishment at all, is he?
No, absolutely not. No. Absolute bounder. Anyway, Simon, thanks for the super chat. Thanks to see you, Russell Quirk. Thank you very much indeed. Everything to play for this morning. We've got lots to do. We've got David Lammy trying to destroy the jury system today in the House of Commons. We've got Trump saying the war is over. Oil prices falling. You know, we've got lots to look forward to. It's only Tuesday. We'll be back after the news with Edward Hughes.
Good morning. I'm Edward Hughes with your news. The escalating war in Iran dominates UK headlines, with Chancellor Richard III warning MPS that the conflict is putting upward pressure on inflation through surging oil prices. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has cautioned the crisis could affect every household and every business, with Reeves indicating readiness to support releasing strategic oil reserves to ease impacts. The UK is bolstering its military presence in the region, including deploying HMS Dragon towards Cyprus. Domestically, a major fire near Glasgow Central Station has destroyed retail units, leaving independent business owners heartbroken and causing train disruptions. MPs have rejected calls for outright ban on social media for under 16s, opting instead for more flexible regulations. That's the main UK picture this Tuesday. Please remember to like and subscribe. Back to you, Mikey Boy. Laters.
Yes.
Mike,
Are we back?
Yeah.
Oh, we're back already. Sorry, Russell's still chatting away. This is the kind of show we have here. This is kind of, it's as you like it. Sometimes we're on air, sometimes we're not. We fixed the clocks, by the way, Calvin, you might notice behind us.
The clocks are fixed, but there's still no sign of your Mike Graham
the
show.
sign is being fixed, right? But they've got to take it. This is Britain, after all. We don't forget. They have to take the sign. They have to take the sign away and then fix it and give it back to us. And the saga is that when they supposedly were going to come yesterday to pick up the sign, they went to the wrong address. Unfortunately, and so they didn't pick it up yesterday.
Okay, so that happened at our place, at my house, where BT were going to put in super fast broadband, yeah?
Yeah.
And so they didn't turn up on the day they were. So I contacted them.
Right.
And I said, you weren't here. He said, oh, yes, yeah, we were there. And actually, you've already got it. I said, I have not got superband broadband. That is why I have asked you to deliver superband broadband. So they said, well, we went to a house yesterday which already had super fast broadband, so we left it, and we thought that was your number 4. I said, it wasn't number 4.
Right.
He said, well, hold on, I'll call you back. So 48 hours later, calls back, he said, yeah, we went to number 8. Yes, that has got superband broadband.
Excellent.
So
did they explain why they went to number 8 instead of number 4?
They didn't. And anyway, there's a lot of apologies and all the rest of it. Anyway, we had it fitted, and you'll be pleased to know that thanks to BT, superfast broadband is now slower than it was when it was slower fast broadband.
Right.
Honestly, BT sometimes wonder why their share prices collapse, why they get through chief executives faster than they should get through editors of The Sun. And
why all these new companies form and make a fortune? Because they do a cheaper service and it's a lot better.
Yeah. So that is true. And in fact, we're going to switch to Sky.
Okay.
Who, by the way, use the BT infrastructure.
Well, pretty much everybody does.
Yeah,
but
and still they manage to do it more efficiently. Which is really an extraordinary moment in modern commercial life, isn't it? It is.
I remember once when I lived in Glasgow, moved to a sort of a new build. It was down by the river, a place called Glasgow Harbour. And I decided to call my insurance company, car insurance, to say, look, I've now moved, got a different address, and you'll be happy to know that I'm still parking in underground car parks. So, right, nothing changes. They said, sorry, we can't find the address. And I said, what do you mean? They said, there's no postcode for that. I said, I'm literally standing in the flat,
standing in the postcode,
looking at the River Clyde as I speak to you. I'm definitely in it. The car's definitely downstairs. And they were like, well, we can't put it into the computer because it's such a new building that it's not in the map. And I'm going, so what do I do now then? They said, well, we can't insure you.
No.
So I had to move insurance companies.
No.
Because they were so intransigent and they were so kind of,
well, you'll be
British about it.
You'll be pleased to know that under AI, almost certainly insurances will over time become cheaper.
Yes.
And you may be able to carry a version of self-insured. Things are going to change. They've made an absolute racket, absolute fortune, these insurance companies, actually not insuring you for things that do go wrong, but pocketing the money when everything goes wrong.
Or whenever you do need them, you're not covered for it. I mean, health insurance is a massive racket, right? I took out some health insurance a few years ago, as you might not be surprised to know, because I thought...
I'm surprised that you were accepted, to be honest.
And because I just thought I can't be asked going to the NHS. It's just not worth it. You know? So, but almost everything that I've had done, it's not covered.
Yeah.
And you go, well, what's the point of it then? And the only thing I can seemingly get out of them is I've managed to get my family sort of a couple of video conferences with doctors when you can't get a GP, which is fine, and I can go to a clinic and do that. But I had a Healey operation, wasn't covered.
Yeah.
This was a prior condition. Oh right, okay. Another time I tried to get something. We haven't been with us for more than 2 years, so you can't have it. It's a complete
the best thing to do is just go to self-pay.
Yeah.
Right, self-pay is cheaper.
That's what I did, yeah,
cheaper. So that when you want an operation or a doctor or something like that, it's expensive, but it's less expensive than if you had
the insurance on top of it,
at a certain age.
Yeah,
Which
to be honest, I did it because of the family and just because I said that
it's good for the family.
So it's good for them, but it's been absolutely hopeless for me.
And good for a younger wife, I would have thought.
Yeah, I would have thought so, but I haven't got one at the moment.
Oh yes,
so,
that's right.
There's still time.
You're between wives.
I am, as you sometimes are. Now we've got a guest, haven't we? Who's up now?
Dwayne Towler.
Oh, it's Dwayne Towler, right. Well, listen, there's a lot to talk about. about, Kelvin, this morning,
Yeah,
because
there
obviously we've got the markets kind of calming a bit.
Yeah.
The oil price is coming back down a bit, so the hysteria's kind of died away. We've got Nigel Farage and Robert Jenrick writing in The Sun saying Rachel Reeves needs to do away with the fuel tax rise. Gawain, of course, a big player in reform, although he always denies it. Gawain, very good morning to you.
Good morning indeed.
Good to see you. So, I mean, there's a couple of things that have changed overnight in regards to reform, which I must ask you about. Robert Jenrick put out a big piece yesterday saying it's now time to end the war, which came about 24 hours after Richard Tice said that if Reform were in government, they would have in fact been fully behind America's attacks and would have completely happily joined in. So, is that a bit of a change in policy?
Well, I think if you see that, I don't know the internal strategic decision-making process of the White House and the Department of Defense, but if the America feels that the war is coming to an end anyhow, then both Tice saying at the start we would have joined it, and Jenrick saying now we wouldn't be involved at this point, seems to be sensible. Equally, both of them seem to be absolutely convinced that the government are making the wrong decision about oil exploration, drilling in the UK, stuff of that sort, and increasing the fuel tax. So, frankly, I don't think they're as disparate as it at first appears.
I mean, it might be that the time has moved on. I mean, Starmer gets away with it, doesn't he? He starts off saying, well, we're not involved in this at all in any way, shape or form. Absolutely no chance that we're going to put any hardware out there. And then he suddenly decides he's going to do it 24 hours later.
Well, yeah, more than 24 hours. He decides it, and then a few weeks later we might do it. We've known for a long time that the US has been building up its presence in the Middle East, in the Gulf area. We've known that for ages. We could well have prepared quite easily without making a big song and dance about it, and just got the preparations in place. One of the most disturbing things of this whole behaviour of the UK is that we having the Chagos example, looking at what's happening with Gibraltar, seeing the greater interest by and what anybody who wants to have a go now feels it's worth having a go. The fact that we did not do our duty when it came to Cyprus has now meant the Cyprus government is thinking about demanding we leave Akrotiri and the sovereign bases in Cyprus. Milei in Argentina is looking at the Falklands again, because it seems that anybody has to roll up in Whitehall, knock on number 10's door and say, can we have this? And the government rolls over because they international law. And they'll find any excuse to do us down around the world. If we had sent our screening ships into the Eastern Med to protect Cyprus, right early doors, we knew this was coming. We all knew this was coming. A small child in a climbing frame in Anglesey knew this was coming. So how come our government didn't?
Well, I mean, it has to be said, doesn't it, Kelvin, that even if somebody did want to take back if the Malvinas suddenly came into view with the Argentinians, I mean, we've literally got no ships. I don't know if you saw this in the Telegraph the other day. We've got something like, 6 destroyers, right, of which only one, HMS Dragon, is available for service.
Well, when you
and it can't be sent until next week anyway, right?
We've got not available for service.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frigates. None of which are available.
No, actually, I mean, I thought actually it was going to make its big voyage off to Cyprus today.
Yeah.
In fact, I urge people to go down with their flags and wave it off, right? And but if you're saying that it's not due to next week, and this is because there's welding that needs to be done.
Right.
And not only that, the welders only work 9 till 5 because they're unionised, right? So.
And no weekends, right?
It's made us look total fools. It's made the French, for the first time in their history, look brave, and military have a military might. I'm afraid that Starmer doesn't really believe in the military.
No,
he doesn't believe in fighting for anything that's worthwhile. But he does believe in one thing, which I agree with your guest on. He does believe in handing stuff over without a fight.
He does. And he believes basically in anything that can be proven in law, and he doesn't even care if there is a law, Gawain. He just wants somebody to tell him there's a law.
Right, it's worse than that. It's worse than that. When you think if he doesn't believe in the military, well, he believes the military's there to take to court. He's perfectly happy with his historic court cases. And when we now learn that Lord Hermer was involved in the defence of Gerry Adams, we learn that Gerry Adams was, I can't believe this, when I say we learn, Gerry Adams was in fact involved in directing terrorist operations in the UK on mainland Britain. And senior figures of this government defended this man.
So learned today from the court case that he's involved in over in Ireland yesterday that Bill Clinton was also aware of the fact that he was a major player in the IRA, which is why he denied him a visa at one point and
can I just say that
wouldn't allow him to go over to America.
It's not. I don't do. You've got a great guest here, but can I just say that I am the whole that Gerry Adams is fighting a court case right now on that basis. I hope he loses, but he's a clever guy, and it may be that he manages to win that case. So we should be careful.
Well, I wouldn't be at all surprised if he manages to win that case. But he is actually going to court every day wearing a bulletproof vest, which is a bit of a giveaway.
It's a giveaway. What do you mean that he has one?
Yeah, one that he has one, and that he needs to wear one.
Well, they're quite fashionable now, aren't they?
Well, I suppose in Belfast they always have been. But I mean, it is shocking, though. You're right, Gawain. He makes a good point. Forget about Gerry Adams. It's about the prosecution of people who fought for their country, who did the bidding of their government by carrying out what was a military operation in a part of the UK which was under siege.
It's that awful mouthful, Shiner. It's the whole matrix chamber idea. It's human rights in a theoretical sense over common sense, and we've got to the point where lawyers make lots of money, and those who have served are destroyed. I cannot see how this is good for the country. I just don't.
Isn't good for the country at all. Now, what do you make of the other big sort of political story today, which is that Labour MPs are apparently corralling themselves into a group, not just to vote down David Lammy's jury trials nonsense, which is coming up today in Parliament, but also very possibly to defect to the Green Party.
Well, that doesn't particularly surprise me. And just the way that the Reform Party is an electoral threat to Labour, but an existential threat to the Conservatives, as we strike at their very core belief of who they are. The Green Party are an existential threat to the Labour Party. If you are a committed socialist, if you're a committed Labour, and that mind, then the Greens do speak to that sort of inchoate, hate the rich view that many people on the left have as their core belief. And so, of course, the Greens are going to attract him. And it's the strong horse there, isn't it? If you're on the left and you look at who's the strong horse, right now it's the Greens, not Labour. If you're on the right, who's the strong horse? Right now it's Reform, not the Conservative Party. And if you want somebody to represent your broader belief system, that makes perfect sense.
What does that tell you about Britain, Kelvin? That, you know, you've got a left-leaning Green Party now, which is so far to the left that they want to destabilise the country. They want to have no borders. They want to have legalise all drugs. They want to make it illegal for you to eat meat. They want to make it.
A Lennon song, isn't it?
I mean, it just sounds mad, and yet they're attracting votes.
Right, but what it means is that our politics is changed for good. It has followed the online world and splintered, so that there are stations like yours that can exist, whereas 10 years ago you'd be pushing a broom outside Aldi's, wouldn't you? I mean, very difficult today. Successful broadcaster, having only been going literally for 6 weeks. This is the world we're in. We have to accept it, and this is why I am Badenoch. I am knocking at the door of Reform every day, saying, what can I do to accommodate your views and my views? Because the thing I'm most concerned about is so the Lib Dems are going further left. The Greens are already there. Labour will also. So they will come up with some kind of electoral deal which says, in 2029, which says, actually, we can all work together in order to, quotes, keep out reform, unquotes. And actually, looking at the numbers, that could well happen. And so all I say is we have to accept what's there. Now look, in a funny way, it's destabilizing Labour. After all, Labour's definition now of anti-Islam hostility, anti-Muslim hostility, is born out of Gorton and Denton.
Yeah.
If they had won that by a country mile, this would have gone onto the back burner.
Yeah.
Greaves would have gone back to being, was he ever conservative? I'm not sure, right? He would have gone back to, he would have had the job of pushing a broom outside Morrison's, right? Now we are in a very difficult position. For instance, shows like this. Actually, the truth about the matter is that you will be accused of racism every time you suggest that what is effectively a medieval religion, right, is not right for over whatever subject you choose.
Well, this is Steve Reed yesterday coming out and saying broadcasters will also have to be adherent to this, right?
I totally agree. And when they mean broadcasters, they mean conversations that might spill out of this discussion with your tremendous guests. So these are significant issues, but this is what happens. And I also definitely think that there is going to be a change in our voting. The way I think first past the post will disappear in the 29 election, one way and another. So once that election takes place, you can never be sure, by the way, with the majority that currently exists, that Starmer might see what's coming down the track and say, actually, we'll scrap it now. What do you think, to his own MPs? And they might say, actually, do you know what? Better us, because remember, no Labour MP can get work after they've been fired. I mean, who would have hired them before? They couldn't get any work before. They definitely won't get any work after 2029.
No.
So there are big issues coming down the track politically for all parties. But
Hello?
Whether any kind of pact at all is either desirable or possible with the Badenoch people.
Well, there's a couple of things there. Actually, there's a whole lot to unpack. Starting with the idea of the sort of fragmentation, I would suggest that what you're seeing is fragmentation before realignment. And if you look at Northern Ireland, the SDLP, the Ulster Unionists have been driven off the field, and you're left with the DUP and Sinn Féin. I think that is a way that we're going. So that's point one. When it comes to tactical voting, as you're sort of suggesting, I think it's very interesting. At the last general election, we saw tactical voting against the Conservative Party. We saw the Lib Dems do far better than they would have done ordinarily, because people looked at the situation and said, vote Lib Dem in this place, vote Labour in this place, vote Gaza Independent in another place. Then you look at Gorton and Denton, and what I saw for the first time ever was on the right, you saw tactical voting. Now, it didn't result in a win, but it resulted in the Tories down to 700 votes.
Yeah.
The Independent, who had received 9% and came from Gorton, went from 9% to the Manchester mayoral. He came from that town. He got 152 votes and was defeated by the monster raving loonies. So what we actually saw was, in fact, tactical voting. Now, when it comes to going for a PR system, the Labour Party, in its own, had voted for it in 2023, I think, at its national conference.
Are we losing?
It's not on their manifesto commitments, but I agree. I think it's something that they will consider.
And what about the upcoming May
local elections? I do think tactical voting is also PR is something. They will look at the numbers. Well, we shall see what happens in the May local elections. Look what happens in Wales, Scotland, and across the country. I think Reform will have another good night.
Yeah, no, I think so.
Yeah.
I think he's got Kelvin's internet.
Yeah, he's got fast internet there from BT. Okay, wait, we're going to let you go because we can't quite make out what you're saying. But thank you very much for that. I mean, obviously, Reform you would expect to still do brilliantly in May.
No,
but the Greens are obviously going to do a lot better as well.
Yes, no, the Greens. I can't imagine what a slaughtering Labour are going to take. So the question then emerges: normally, after such a slaughtering, you would be the leader would be under huge pressure. I just wonder whether much of what Starmer has done against what looks like his own interests in the Iran war is in fact going to be helpful to keep him in place in May. The only downside to that would be, what will Streeting say? Will Streeting say, look, I'm done for anyway. In my own, I'm never going to win my own constituency. I'm going to be absolutely slaughtered. Okay, so if I'm going to go down, why don't I go down in flames? Why don't I literally put my own name forward and actually blow the whole game up?
Well, as an independent.
No, not as an independent. Come forward to Labour.
Oh, you mean
say,
as a leader?
And say a potential leader, actually almost certainly knowing that he's not going to win, or that what it will do is it will get others to come forward. Starmer then fights, and then Streeting goes to the back benches, where he might be a lot happier than he is now, where he is totally out of the number 10 area. And everybody views him as a traitor anyway. But look, rather than that, this is surely a story. Have you been following the story in Iran about their number one...
the new Ayatollah?
No. This is something which actually, to be truthful, if you saw it on Netflix, you would not believe this. So there's a bloke called General Esmail Quani, a brigadier general in the IRGC, okay? So he is thought, there is a focus on him now, that he may be a spy. And this is the reason. Because he keeps on emerging unscathed from the airstrikes of the start of the war that killed Khomeini and everybody else. So everybody else is wiped out.
He's calling it in on the radio, is he?
Yeah. So there is speculation in the Middle East that he's under house arrest or has been executed as head of the QUDS force. Quds. One of the 5 branches of the IRGC. The 68-year-old has been responsible for exporting Iranian terror by training and equipping Islamic revolutionary groups outside Iran since 2020. He replaced Soleimani, who was assassinated on Trump's orders in the last month.
Remember that.
In the past week, articles have pointed to an alleged trend that Quani keeps escaping incidents that have killed others. One said the general had, quote, spent the past 2 years accumulating a reputation for his extraordinary ability to walk away unscathed while everyone around him dies. One of the incidents involved the wholesale targeting of top brass in Israel's 12-day war against Iran in June, when he was initially thought to have been killed, but then emerged at a public event wearing civilian clothes, a baseball cap. This echoed a similar sequence of events in 2024. Heightening the gossip, and this is what did for him, by the way, were reports that Israel had published a list of Iranian and Iranian-linked officials it wanted to eliminate in the current round of fighting. Over the weekend that started the start of the war, that list was declared complete, but General Quani's name wasn't in it. He must be a spy. Anybody who's watching Tehran, right, on Apple, actually, it is beyond stunning. The first 2 series are fantastic. The third one...
doesn't agree, by the way. He watched it. He said it was awful.
Yeah, I know.
He didn't like it.
He's no good. He works for you.
He didn't like it. No, I work for him, actually.
Oh, right. But anyway, if you watch the first 2 series, you would understand all this. What a fantastic story this is. That the guy sitting at the top of the bloody tree, right, is an Israeli spy. So it's no wonder that 48 died over here and he's sitting there having
punching in coordinates into a Google map.
Not number 28.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in number 28.
Crikey. Did you say we got Gawain back, by the way?
Now.
Okay.
We've got some exciting news though, Mike.
What's that?
Put the news on.
Oh, we've got some exciting news. Oh, well, let's get Edward Hughes then with the exciting news. Go for it.
Good morning. I'm Edward Hughes with your news. The escalating war in Iran dominates UK headlines, with Chancellor Richard III warning MPS that the conflict is putting upward pressure on inflation through surging oil prices. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has cautioned the crisis could affect every household and every business, with Reeves indicating readiness to support releasing strategic oil reserves to ease impacts. The UK is bolstering its military presence in the region, including deploying HMS Dragon towards Cyprus. Domestically, a major fire near Glasgow Central Station has destroyed retail units, leaving independent business owners heartbroken and causing train disruptions. MPs have rejected calls for outright ban on social media for under 16s, opting instead for more flexible regulations. That's the main UK picture this Tuesday. Please remember to like and subscribe. Back to you, Mikey Boy.
Mikey Boy is a little bit over-familiar, by the way. Thanks anyway. We were looking back I was listening to Times Radio on the way in, looking back on when the day, if you remember, I'm sure you do, when Liz Truss was up in Parliament as Prime Minister talking about putting a fuel cap on everything. And that was the moment when the piece of paper went round and was handed to her. Do you remember? Because the Queen had died.
Oh,
And I remember being at talk at the time, and there was this kind of, slight, you could see that something had happened.
Yeah.
And people started leaving the chamber, words started sort of filtering around, news organisations got told, and then I think it was about 4 or 5 o'clock that afternoon that it was announced officially that she died. And so, I mean, that all, because you forget that all happened in the middle of that sort of weird month that Liz Truss was in charge of the country.
Can I just say that on the Queen dying, I know it's terrible to say, I am pleased that she died without knowing the full extent of her son's interests across the water, because her own reputation might have been damaged.
Well, do you know what was terrible yesterday was that Starmer went down. There was a Commonwealth Day event at Westminster Abbey. Starmer went down. I don't know. Should we have a look at that? Yeah. Pooch, and Starmer was booed, right, as he was walking into the church. Yeah. But following that, let's have a look at that first.
Yeah.
No, Mrs. Starmer. He's trying to keep smiling, getting booed.
Well, why is he smiling?
Because he's been told to smile, because that way, if he looks, they'll go, he's not being, if you're not, haven't got the sound up, you can't hear the booing. But then, right, how about this? William and Kate go in, and they also get booed.
No.
Yeah, check it out.
What did you know? What did you know? Boo! Parasite! Boo! Parasite! Boo! Let's go! Parasite!
Don't mind you, everybody gets booed.
But it's still not a great look.
I agree with booing Starmer.
Not my king!
In national sport, I mean, if you've ever been, when you go to football, the first sign that you're not winning 7-0, there's somebody starts shouting, you're getting sacked in the morning, and then somebody starts booing. This is somebody who's done a tremendous job. Booing is absolutely.
There was a great one. One of my favourite ones of that was when do you remember Alan Shearer briefly went back to manage Newcastle United to try and keep them up in the Premier League, and I think he didn't manage to do it.
He didn't.
And they started singing at St James's Park, "You should have stayed on the telly," which I thought was great.
Well, what about the one in Scotland where a guy, where the goalkeeper, I can't remember, I don't know his name, but the goalkeeper was diagnosed, and he gave a big interview about his health. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And
was it Jim Leighton? Yeah.
And they were singing, "There's only 2 Jim Leightons."
I mean, some of the football charts, as ghastly as many of them are very clever. I remember Frank DeBuff once gave an interview to Talk Sport, and he used to come in from time to time, and when he was playing and he talked about when he was playing for Chelsea, and he had his family there, and he'd come over from France. It was all very civilised, and he thought he'd come to this beautiful country in England, living in Chelsea, very nice. And the Chelsea fans had a chant that said, "He's here, he's there, he's every effing where, Frank DeBuff." And in a programme one day, he said, "I'd really prefer it if they didn't swear, because, obviously my family come, my kids come, it's not very nice for them to hear it. So the next game, they changed the chant to "He's here, he's there, we're not allowed to swear." Frank to Buff. That's just brilliant. Very clever. He's just very smart. Now, who's here?
Harvey Proctor.
Harvey Proctor's here. Harvey Proctor, excellent. Well, we've got to talk to Harvey about a couple of things. But before that, I just want you to think about this, because we'll pose this question to you, Kelvin, later on. But the front page of the I paper today has got Trump's dismissed Prime Minister's Iran plea in stormy call, and they basically characterised the phone call as not a rosy affair. It was a 20-minute call, apparently, where the US president dismissed Keir Starmer's arguments and basically said he was not interested in his attempts to explain his decision to keep Britain out of bombing attacks on Iran, and tensions are growing over the King's proposed state visit to America next month. So
is that right?
It's really not been sorted out.
Do you know what? So
all.
You're Charles, you've got cancer, been treated for cancer. He's turned out to be a decent king.
Yeah.
Actually. And when everybody forecast that the whole thing will be a disaster, he turned out to be a decent guy. Does he need to go to travel 3,000 miles, extensive, quite exhausting trip, I imagine, where he has to effectively, away from the spotlight, has to defend his government, because he doesn't have a choice.
Because he goes there as a representative.
So he's sitting there, he's getting all the churn going on within him. Is that good for his health? I don't think it is.
Probably not.
Is it good? Is it a good time to go there? I imagine Trump will treat him like a king.
You will.
Okay.
Well, Trump will use him to get at Starmer, won't he?
Yes, he will. He will do. So that may be. I don't give a damn about Starmer. He's been a disaster for our nation. Has made us look like cowards. He manages to get on the wrong side of every argument. He still thinks he's a human rights lawyer being paid, $3,000 an hour or whatever he's getting, which was the amount, by the way, the QC got. That Murdoch paid him when they decided to try and jail those 25 Sun journalists. So $3,000 an hour is not an unusual amount of money. Anyway, on that, is that really the kind of way we want to use our monarch? As effectively, here's a sick man. He's being used as a battering ram for politics.
Right.
I don't think so. And I think there'll be other times when he could go and it would be less strain on him rather than...
Well, the thing is, they might send William and Kate, but William and Kate are already going to America for the World Cup, which I think is why they're not going on this trip. But maybe you're right. Maybe they should change it. And send him.
Why don't they just leave it for William and Kate?
Yeah.
And I think especially Kate, because she probably doesn't come from the royal family, has turned out to be such a star.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what our royal family would currently look like if we didn't have Kate.
Yes.
She has really been something else. And I think with the fact that she has suffered possibly an even more serious health issue than Charles makes the nation feel so much warmer to her. There is... I have never seen she has lost so much weight.
Yeah.
Whether she's lost weight or she hasn't put it on, I don't know. Sometimes I look at those pictures and I say, I hope you're all right.
Yeah, no, true. We'll come back to that because we need to talk to Harvey Proctor, who is our next guest. Harvey, very good morning to you. Thanks for waiting patiently. Sorry about that. Good to see you. Let's talk about a number of things. We've got David Lammy trying to dismantle the jury trial system today in the House of Commons, but also one of the things that the Home Office is attempting to do is to restructure the police forces of this country. And I know that you feel particularly strongly about that. The idea is to whittle down the number of forces into a smaller sort of managerial set, if you like. What's your view of that?
Good morning to you and good morning to your viewers and listeners, and thank you for inviting me on your show. With regard to the police, I do believe the police has lost its way, do not know what they are supposed to be doing, and I've called before and I call again for a Royal Commission to study the whole of UK policing. However, what I think the government are currently proposing is a restructuring of the number of police forces in the country. That may be something that needs investigating, but alas, they have placed in charge of it, as chairman of it, the worst possible person to conduct the investigation, namely a former Metropolitan Police Commissioner, Lord Hogan Howe. He was in charge of Operation Midland, the disastrous investigation in 2015 and 2016. He was terrible as a commissioner. He made error after error. And it seems in this country that people who fail are promoted, ennobled, enriched, and that should not be the case. Hogan Howe should be nowhere near anything to do with UK policing now or in the future.
No. And I mean, what would be the advantage, as far as they are concerned, of actually having fewer constabularies? What's the point of that?
I guess it's a cost-cutting exercise. I can't think that they're doing this for the good of policing or the good of the public who the police help. I think it's entirely an ill-advised cost-cutting exercise.
Yes, indeed. And what about this whole government's kind of approach, generally speaking, to the law and order of the country? They seem to be more interested in prosecuting people for things that they think and say than they do prosecuting people for things that they do.
I think this must come from the top. It comes from the Prime Minister, who, if you recall, was a Director of Public Prosecutions. He's fabled for being a good Director of Public Prosecutions. He was not. During the course of Operation Midland, the police, the Metropolitan Police, believed the victim, Carl Beach, without investigating thoroughly. As a result, many people, including myself, lost almost everything. Now, Starmer was not Director of Public Prosecutions in 2015, but 2 or 3 years earlier, because he was upset with the lack of successful convictions for rape, he went around police force after police force telling them henceforth to believe the victim. In 2015, the Metropolitan Police did, and hence Operation Midland and the disaster that was. So Keir Starmer has a habit of standing on its head centuries of criminal justice procedures in this country. And you mentioned earlier about jury trials and trying to scrap for a number of trials juries. Again, setting on its head criminal justice protections in this country. That should not happen.
No, absolutely not. And have you made any sort of representations to this government or any of the sort of, I don't know, departments of it about the way you feel about all this?
Well, of course, I make speeches, write articles, and I tweet quite a bit. And I and others involved in Operation Midland are about to contact the Secretary of State for Justice, Lammy, about another matter. That is, I think it's common knowledge now that my accuser, our accuser, Carl Beach, who was sentenced in 2019 to 18 years in prison, was released early, having served 7 years and 4 months. When he was released, I and my colleagues were not told that he was being released. I still do not know the terms or conditions of his license for release. Why? Because under the criminal justice system, I and others are not regarded to be victims. The offences that he committed of perverting the course of justice, the victim is regarded in criminal justice in this country to be the Crown, not anybody who might have been hurt by those offences. So I think the law should be changed so that I and others involved in Operation Midland are regarded as victims.
Yeah, absolutely, Harvey. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Harvey Proctor there, a man who was very much wronged by Carl Beach.
He underplayed what happened to him.
Yeah.
The first thing that happened to him was he lost his job.
Yeah.
And with the job, there was he had a home that went with the job.
Yeah.
So he lost that.
Yeah.
He then had to defend himself. And lawyers don't come cheap.
At a great cost to his own pocket. Yeah.
Yes, lawyers don't come cheap. He didn't have that money. I don't know. It would be very interesting to talk to him as an old man.
Yeah.
Under what circumstances he currently lives, right? And there are people like Starmer, right, who would literally defend somebody who turned out to be a terrorist, a British terrorist, now living and married some Islamist pig of a guy, right? And now out in a refugee camp in the Middle East. He would go to the ends of the world to defend that person and actually invite them back into our country.
Yeah.
And yet, somebody like Harvey Proctor doesn't even get told when somebody who's actually trashed his life and left him destitute, nowhere to turn, doesn't tell him that he's being released. Why on earth Carl Beach is being let out early? I have no idea.
Well, that's another mystery, isn't it, as to why any of that happens and why they let these people out early, because inevitably many of them reoffend and have to get taken back in. Right, and they say they move them out of prison in order to make room for other people to go to prison. Well, why don't you just make some more prisons?
Yeah, so the idea of building more prisons, actually the Conservatives are responsible for that.
Yeah, they are.
Because they decided that, and so you get somebody like the former Chancellor, George Osborne, an absolute nightmare of a guy who has done very well for himself since he's left politics. And while in politics, he and Cameron basically destroyed the Conservative Party, destroyed the ability to have many more apartments, flats, houses, etc. For rent, and therefore sent rents through the roof, and also allowed this kind of situation to exist. Why they just didn't build more prisons, I have no idea. And there are all kinds of issues going on in our country now about people not being sent to jail. For instance, that guy who I keep on going on about, the learner, the driving examiner, or the learner driver, he crashes his car, right, in the morning. Actually, he was on his way for his first lesson, giving a first lesson of
4 times over the limit.
So the guy is 4 times over the limit. He would be sitting in the chair like that, while somebody, and I presume it might be somebody quite young, right, that's a shot in the dark, but I mean, actually that's what's happening, right, would be saying, what do I do now? Right, and he, by the way, he doesn't even get jugged for that. So we have a system now. We have a system where if you are a judge and you want to get preferment, the way to get preferment is actually not to send criminals and people responsible for criminal-like behaviour, right, to jail. Right? If you start sending them to jail, you'll get a note.
There's no room.
But you'll get a note anyway. You'll get a note saying, mate, look, don't do that anymore. If you want to get on, you want to go from this to a circuit judge to a
attorney general.
Yeah, you want to be something. You want to be something in the law. You carry on sending them to jail. You'll get kicked off the bench.
Yeah.
So
here's a story,
there's something not right.
Here's a story for you. This will shock you, right? I got sent this by one of my contacts in the press yesterday.
Yeah.
A man has been charged over crimes against humanity in Syria, in the first prosecution of its kind in the UK, right? This man has been charged with crimes against humanity following an investigation by Counter-Terrorism Policing's War Crimes Unit. Right? Now, he's not been named, this man. He's going to appear in court where he may still not be named. He's 58 years old. He now lives in the UK, right?
And what nationality is he?
He's Syrian.
Yeah.
He's been charged in relation to his time working in the Syrian Air Force Intelligence, the AFI, in Damascus, right? He's been charged with 3 counts of murder, 3 counts of torture, 1 offence of conduct ancillary to murder, right? He's due to appear today at Westminster Magistrates Court. Now, my first question is, why is he here?
Yeah.
What's he doing here?
Yeah.
How is he living here?
How did he get here?
Has he got a free house? Is he in a council or in some kind of sheltered accommodation? He led a group tasked with quelling the demonstrations in the Jobar area, which lies east of the Damascus city centre. The investigation was led by the War Crimes team, which is hosted by the Metropolitan Police. But it seems to me that, you know, we can't control our own streets, right? Our own streets are overrun with crime. People are getting their watches stolen, getting their phones nicked, getting their cars nicked. We're chasing around after people who shouldn't even be here because of something they did in Syria.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well, why don't the Syrians deal with them?
Well, very good question. Why don't we just pick the guy up, deport him to Syria, and say, you know, you can charge him over
he's
there?
in the military. Put a parachute on him, drop him up over Damascus. Yeah. Right? I mean, he's a reasonably fit guy. Good luck.
I would have thought so. But,
good luck to you. And if he hits the ground at 200 miles an hour, is that a loss?
Well, this is the point. We've got now more people from foreign countries living in this country. Yeah. Do you remember the guy who ended up running, I think he was running Lambeth Library, but it turned out he was like a war criminal from Rwanda. You know, but
well, that's the way you get the job.
He'd come to London.
On the CV, when you apply for the job, they say previous experience, and it says in there, war criminal from Rwanda, killed 4,000 people. And then the guys at
Houthi branch. Right?
Correct, yeah. And then the guys from Lambeth Council say, do you know what? We're short of war criminals. We're short of war criminals. Yeah. And would you like a free council house?
Then there's the other guy, a general from Hamas, who's got a big council house up in Colindale, up on the Northern Line.
Has he?
You know, he's been living here for years, yeah.
A general
he's a general from Hamas and was thought to still be involved. The Sunday Times did a big piece on it. Still thought to be involved in Hamas, but living in North London, on the Northern Line. Well, Edgware branch.
He probably said, I can't go outside London because obviously I could be in danger in the countryside. So I'll take your kind offer of the council. How do they get council houses?
Well, nobody knows. Because again, there'll be some kind of, like you said, there'll be some priority list, right? So if you're from Gaza, they'll probably go, you know.
Correct. So the way it works is, right, war criminal Rwanda.
Yeah.
Nice place in Brixton for you, son. General Hamas, I'm afraid you can't live in South London. Yeah. There is a tube line there. It's at Brixton. Yeah. But it may be that you live up Streatham Hill way. Yeah. In which case that's too far to walk. Yeah. So, for the general though, because you're a general, you've got to be on the tube line because you've got people to see.
That's right.
You've got to go and see other Hamas operators who've been lucky enough to land here.
But this has been going on for years, right? And this is now why we know we've got 13,000, I think, or so people in prison who are foreign prisoners from foreign countries. Yeah. Many of them from Albania. They're supposed to have all been sent back to Albania, but they haven't been. And if you got rid of all of those people, then you would have plenty of room in the prisons for everybody else. But they just don't do it. Successive governments don't do it.
Yes. The thing is, they're not prepared to put the energy into having a bad relationship with somebody by forcing their hand on it. However, they don't mind having a bad relationship with our major and most important ally, the United States
of America. Yeah.
So every time there is any kind of difficulty, whether in the Middle East, immediately Labour jump back in the bucket and say, we're not supporting you. This time Starmer has made a serious error, an error of judgment, and yet
he's still sitting there.
He's sitting there because the rest of his cabinet, I suspect, agree with him. Yeah. So your Miliband, who seems to be running the country quietly, pulling the strings, and I see that Starmer describes Miliband as his closest political colleague, which is worrying for anybody who's got an electricity bill coming through their door any moment now, or coming through their computer. Look, this government, we are now going to watch it limp for the next 3 years. It will be a disaster for the country. So the next question, more importantly, is what are the right going to do about it, right? Are we going to sit there and see ourselves splinter? Or are we going to try and kind of, I'm not saying there won't be a merger because there's too much difference between the two sides, but what is going to happen?
Yeah.
Because it would be a disaster. Because actually, my view is that Lib Dems going further left, the Greens to the left, Labour following the Greens, they're going to have some collective pact at the end.
Yeah.
And the effect of that will be they will say, keep Farage out. What I'm concerned about is keep Farage and Badenoch out. And therefore, there has to be some kind of deal. I know it's difficult. I know that some MPs will lose their roles because they won't be the ones.
And also a lot of people won't like it who don't want the Conservatives anywhere near power because of what they did over the last 14 years. That's the other problem.
Right, okay. I say to that argument, okay, you want the Greens to run the country?
No,
yeah,
definitely
right.
not.
So that is the problem. So intelligent people have got to accept that there going to have to be political sacrifice. And that is the question. How is that going to be done? And what is it going to affect? Now, look, fortunately, I think, how many MPs have the Tories got? 112 or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Right. Actually, it's not going to affect quite so many people as it would have done.
I don't think anyone cares about that. People don't care about MPs at all, right? They've got no interest in Tory
but
MPs.
the MPs do.
The MPs can care about it, but they may have to find something else to do.
Yeah,
you
correct.
know, and I don't think they have any. And Tory MPs really don't have any power.
That is true.
Whenever we talk about Tory MPs to our audience, they're just like, they had their chance. We're not interested. in it. That's why so many Reform supporters don't want the likes of Tory MPs going in and joining in because they think, well, they've had their go. Let's have something else. But you're right. You can't form a government if you're Reform without co-opting some of these people.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
So how is the deal to be done? And is it only going to be done 6 months beforehand? Is it only going to be done 3 months beforehand? Or is it not going to be done at all?
Or will it be done after the event, possibly?
Right. Well, if it's after the event, Farage may not be sitting in the box seat. It may be a Lib Dem Greens Labour alliance is enough to keep Reform out completely. So I am for Farage. I want to have some of the cake. I'm not saying I want to have all of the cake, but better than no cake at all.
Yeah.
And most countries where they have faced this issue have ended up with, actually, Nigel Farage is, as your audience will say already, is a lot softer to the right than they would like, right? You just have to suck that up. But those further right than Farage have never actually ended up sitting in as Prime Minister.
No, because that won't happen. That won't happen. I think we've got Robert Jenrick coming in tomorrow, so we'll ask him about
that'll be good.
So we'll see what he's got to say for himself.
That'll be good.
Coming up, we're going to be talking about dogs as well, because apparently there's a story in the Times, I think it is, £6.5 billion left to our dogs.
Good idea.
In wills,
better
right?
than the children.
Well, that's a very good point. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But before we do that, shall we not do the news with Edward Hughes?
Good morning. I'm Edward Hughes with your news. The escalating war in Iran dominates UK headlines, with Chancellor Richard III warning MPS that the conflict is putting upward pressure on inflation through surging oil prices. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has cautioned the crisis could affect every household and every business, with Reeves indicating readiness to support releasing strategic oil reserves to ease impacts. The UK is bolstering its military presence in the region, including deploying HMS Dragon towards Cyprus. Domestically, a major fire near Glasgow Central Station has destroyed retail units, leaving independent business owners heartbroken and causing train disruptions. MPs have rejected calls for outright ban on social media for under-16s, opting instead for more flexible regulations. That's the main UK picture this Tuesday. Please remember to like and subscribe. Back to you, Mikey Boy.
He's done it again, Mikey Boy. If you call me Mikey Boy again, I'll have you fired.
No, I like that, though,
I can absolutely have you taken down, Mr. Edward Hughes. I don't know what you think.
Here we go.
Right now, though, it's time for what's in my sack, right? Because we've got some very nice pictures coming in. Look at this. Now, we'll find out, first of all, where it's from.
Yeah.
There's a book as well. Poems to the People. by Alfie Hilliard. Dear Mike, my hubby Alfie and I, watch your show every day. We love it. We sketched a heron for you. Hope you love it. Keep it up. We feel it's so important what you do here. So it's Jane and Alfie. Thank you very much. And this is one of Alfie's poetry books. And there's the picture. Isn't that lovely? Look at that. Nice. Can you see that?
That's
properly?
very good, isn't it?
They've drawn that. They've taken all the trouble to draw that.
They said they have.
Well, I think they have. I don't think there's any question.
Well,
You can't sit here and start giving people a hard time for sending in gifts. I mean, you know, you're the most hard-hearted man that's ever been known to sit in this studio. You know, this is very nice. Thank you, guys. Don't pay any attention to him. You know, he's had a very hard life, and he's taken out everybody else.
It was a heavy paper round.
Yeah, heavy paper round. What about this one here? We've got a huge one here.
My gosh! Look at the size of this.
Exactly right.
Now, what is this?
This is another painting by the looks of it.
Oh,
of some description. Yeah.
Hold on a second.
It's got a frame on it and everything.
But what's it about?
Well, if you put it down here, put it flat.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, look.
Should we do it
the wrong way?
Isn't it that way?
Upside down.
No, upside down, the other way.
Upside down.
No, here you go.
This is what they say about modern art. It's better upside down.
It's a heron. Yeah, I'll show it to you.
Go on.
Can you see it?
Can you see that?
Yeah, you can see it. Look, it's a heron.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Isn't that lovely?
Who did that?
I think it's in the box.
Let's have a look if there's
That is fantastic.
a piece of paper in the box. There's nothing in the box, Pooch. Unless you took it out before.
Could it be that somebody's clearing out their loft?
Is there a letter in the back of it or anything?
No, there is nothing on the back of it.
There's a little Chinese inscription down the bottom right.
It says stolen from...
Yeah, the Forbidden City. Anyway, this is lovely. Thank you very much. Please claim it and tell us that you sent it in, because there's no indication no indication of where it came from, which is lovely, absolutely beautiful. So listen, let's talk about this dog story, because what's happening? I've got the poll, yeah. So yesterday there was another conversation about my haircut and whether or not I should get it cut. And a lot of people seem to think I should. We are arranging currently for somebody to come into the studio and cut it live on air.
Oh, right, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
But we put this poll up today because a couple of people who are cleverer than me put up a different selection of pictures. The first one, the top left, is a skinhead. Yeah. Top right, Beat Boy, 60s. Yeah. Bottom left, Teddy Boy, which is apparently the favourite, 33%. And then a punk green sort of Mohican, that's 23% on the bottom right. I would actually not mind the Teddy Boy. I don't think that.
No,
I don't think that would look too bad.
I think anything would probably look better than the current.
Well, do you know? I said this earlier that I had for 4 years. Right, I had the pleasure of working with some very nice people at Talk who were the makeup artists.
Oh, right.
And they used to just trim my hair like whenever they thought it needed a bit of trimming.
Oh, yeah.
They'd trim my nose hair, they'd do my eyebrows. So I never went to the barbers for literally about 4 years. Yeah. Right, and it never looked like it grew because they just kept it on the hook. And so I finally went and got my haircut for the first time.
Can I just ask you this?
Yeah.
Right. So Talk Radio, basically a commercial disaster.
Yeah.
How many makeup artists did you have in the morning then?
Just one.
Yeah, but all day, how many did they employ?
Through the day, there was probably three or four.
Really?
Yeah, because they'd have to go from, and when it was Talk TV, there was almost at least two per, at any moment of the day.
But it was still on television, was it, Talk Radio?
Well,
when it went from Talk TV
when I started at Talk Radio, we didn't have any cameras at all. Yeah. It was just a radio station. Yeah. But then it evolved into what it became, which was actually very successfully a kind of a hybrid version. Yeah. So it was a radio station on TV, on YouTube, which worked really well. Then they decided to turn it into a TV station, which didn't go so well because they spent an awful lot of money on things that they probably shouldn't have spent money on. Like what? Well, like equipment, like unionised, camera operators. Sort of ITV levels of manning behind the scenes. Yeah. My final show, which I did in one of the evening shows, they said, the producer came out and said, the guys, in the gallery would like to come and have a picture with you because it's the last show, blah, blah, blah. About 25 people appeared,
So
they were paying them all quite well, right? And that was money that they just wasted.
Okay, so this is where most media companies are old-fashioned. What is clear, if you read any research on this kind of stuff, what you're doing is actually, there is some effort to look like television, but the main effort is actually, does it sound like anything anybody wants to say?
It's what we say.
And so you don't need to have thousands of people giving you makeup. You don't need loads of people in the gallery. You've got a one-man band over there who's worth his weight in gold. And actually, he's trying to make some gold out of it.
He is. He's doing a good job, actually, because he's making me look good.
Yes, well, it's
he's even
true.
making you look good, actually.
Well, I tell you what,
surprising.
you look... That's not possible. That's not possible.
Are we in a position to say anything, by the way, Pooch, about what we're doing?
Yeah.
Shall we say it?
Yeah, go on, go for it.
Let's do it, because
Okay.
we are not only going to be producing the Mike Graham Show going into the future, going forward, as we like to say.
Yeah, going forward,
You've
yeah.
sat in many meetings where people talk about going forward. Going forward.
Going backwards.
Forward.
Going backwards.
We've had a couple of ideas, and you might have noticed that Kelvin's been here for a few weeks now, coming in and sitting with me and chatting. So we've decided it's so good that we're going to make our own show. So in addition to the Mike Graham Show, we're going to have the Kelvin and Mike Show, which we haven't quite got a name for yet, but we're going to kick it off next week, aren't we?
We are. In fact, after this, it shows you the deep research and investment we're making. after this show, we're going to a local noshery where we're going to then map out what it's going to sound and look like, and it may look something very similar to the.
I need to subscribe to this.
Oh yeah, okay. So
your new channel.
So there's a new channel being launched, right? I mean, we're actually being quite serious here. It's going to be called UK Live, and you can see there youtube.com /UK Live Online, and there's going to be a whole host of things to watch there, in addition to Kelvin and I show. But we're going to kick it off with that. Yeah. We might not even have to go to a local CAF, because Pooch has got to rush off, so we can just stay here.
Yeah, okay.
Fine. Because you've got to go anyway, haven't you?
I have got to go. But anyway, look,
but no, listen, we're very excited about it, because what we know is that when we stop at 9:30, a lot of you have said, can you not go to 10 o'clock? And the reason we haven't done that in the past is because we wanted to try and get it right for 2.5 hours. We started on 2 hours, and we got 2.5. We will now be doing an extra hour with Kelvin, and it'll be a fascinating show. It'll be, funny. It will be, sanguine at times, maybe mournful occasionally. We'll have stories about, our time in Fleet Street, of which there are many. And it'll be a kind of similar thing to what we're doing now.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, be able to raise this fascinating issue that Rupert Murdoch had his 95th in a New York restaurant the other night. The great and the good were all there.
He's an amazing guy, isn't he, to be still going at 95?
Yeah, he's still going. One of the more surprising guests there was Tony Blair.
Yeah.
And the reason I say it was surprising is because, to my personal knowledge, i.e., he called me about it, very upset, was that he accused Tony Blair of getting too close.
Yes.
To his then wife, Wendy Deng. Now, the issue about that was, so he actually said it to me. I mean, right. And he was particularly upset that Tony Blair, despite the fact that he was always saying, I'm in the US, can I pop in and see you? Actually, on this occasion, popped round to the Beverly Hills vineyard that Murdoch owns. You should all have one. Hadn't told Rupert that he was in the country, nor that he was popping round to Beverly Hills to drop in on the home. Now, Mr. Blair has always denied that he got, quotes, too close, unquotes. But
it's an unusual thing to do, though, isn't it? If you're going to visit somebody's house, but they're not there, but the wife's there.
Yeah,
it's quite an unusual thing to do.
Well, it probably has happened in your lifetime a few times.
Yeah, and there's never been anything decent about it. Let's put it that way.
Anyway, the great news is that time is a great healer. Time is a great healer. Yeah. The only thing is, and so he ends up at the 95th. And this followed what must be the thick end of 10 years of, in fact, Blair was calling his office up to say this is completely untrue, because Rupert then leaked the lot to Mail on Sunday.
Was it not written in the Vanity Fair at some point as well?
Oh yeah, it's written everywhere now. Yeah. Rupert arranged for all this lot to appear in the Mail on Sunday. Right, every Sunday there would be a new episode. Anyway, so Blair was constantly calling up his office in New York And Murdoch told me this, calling him up saying, it's not true.
Yeah.
There was no, right? There was nothing. And Murdoch eventually told his PA, tell Mr. Blair I'm not accepting his calls. Stop calling.
Yeah.
So things got pretty bad. But clearly
they're
Rupert
okay
now
now.
accepts
Yeah.
that there was no.
All right, you think that rather than he's not forgiven him then? You just think
I don't know.
he's
I have
accepted it
no
didn't
idea.
happen.
I'm not
Well,
close. I'm
in
not
the
close.
context of, I don't know
By the
whether
way,
you-
Wendy Deng was an attractive woman, so
She
it'd be
was?
worth.
Well, do you remember when she took on that guy in the
Yeah.
Livingston inquiry?
Yeah.
Kung fu job on him.
Gave him a
Yeah,
You
absolutely,
wouldn't.
a couple of
well,
chops.
hold
But
on
how
a
about-
second. He
yeah.
gave evidence. Murdoch himself said during one of the many court cases he's ended up in that they had a row and she shoved it.
That's it.
And he broke a rib or
Yeah.
something like that, and he was laid up.
Oh, she was quite handy, I think, with the old.
Yeah, of course there was some
But the
suggestion.
other thing
Yeah.
that happened was that Tony Blair has been a subject of this new documentary. I don't know if you watched it on Channel 4.
Yeah,
where
I
his
didn't
wife,
watch it.
Well, I couldn't get talk about broadband. My
Yeah.
broadband's so bad I couldn't even fire it up to watch it on Channel 4's app. But his wife Cherie was interviewed right, at some length and said he was a very good politician. In fact, he was a much better politician than he was a husband.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, what does that tell you?
Do you know what? I was astonished about that. So she is a very clever.
Another lawyer.
Another lawyer, but also clever, and she never got because she was in Blair's shadow, she was just another one, right? But she was a KC, QC, and should have got more credit for the fact that she, from her background where she ended up, but of course she got none. She knew when she said that this was not a throwaway line, right? This was her way of giving him a punch in the gut. Because that is the only quote that anybody has ever used about that. So actually, I'm not sure she did him harm, since actually
She made the point, though.
She made the point.
Yeah.
And I wonder what their relationship was like. Now, I don't know whether she went to the Murdoch 95th.
Yeah.
Okay? I would bet my backside to London Bridge that she didn't.
No, I would
and
imagine that's
therefore,
right.
that in itself would be enough to tell you most things.
Yeah.
That she didn't want to be the subject of gossip when she walked in through
Oh,
that.
yeah, absolutely right. Now, listen, Jean Hatchett's here. She's been waiting very patiently for us, and I appreciate you waiting. She's a writer, works at the Critic Mag, writes a great many things. Jean, very, very good morning to you. Thanks for waiting. Last time you and I spoke,
Good morning.
You'd been out patrolling the streets of Leeds, I think it was it, or Sheffield?
Sheffield.
Sheffield. Looking at these ghastly individuals who were going around knocking on people's doors, right, asking them if they would be happy to boycott Israeli goods.
No.
And then taking details of their address, name, etc., as if they were compiling a list of, what you might call Jewish sympathisers, rather like they used to do in Germany. Have you got any news for us on that, first of all, Jean, before we go on?
Well, subsequent to that, I mean, people did a similar thing to what we did and went and challenged people in other areas like Bristol. So I think, people are starting to see this as a Jew hunt, and they're going out and objecting to that on the streets. And that's really good to see. And I'm glad that we were there and we did that, and that gave others perhaps courage to go and do the same thing. So, yeah, unfortunately, the police are being very difficult. They're not acting as they should here in South Yorkshire, which is not surprising. I think, there's a problem with anti-Semitism, and it looks like it is reaching into the force. So I'm going to be taking that up with them, and we're going to continue to take that up with them going forward.
So the police, as far as you're aware, have done nothing about what you discovered was going on, and is it still going on?
They've done nothing about what was going on, so I put a police complaint in. I'm going to talk to someone about that today. And they've done nothing about the violence that my partner experienced either. They've deliberately done nothing about 2 reports of assault that she put in with them. So, we've got to pursue that going forward. It's a real problem here.
Yeah. And have they actually said why they haven't pursued it? Have they given you any kind of indication as to whether they think it's not illegal, or whether they think it's perfectly permissible for these men to behave like that?
Not yet. I've not had those conversations with anyone yet. They're being very cagey about letting us know exactly what they are doing. So yeah, we're going to push forwards with that.
Okay, good. And you want to talk as well about some of the recent demonstrations that have been going on around the country. I mean, I was staggered when I saw last weekend's pro-Iranian regime demonstration where people are actually holding up signs urging Iran to bomb Israel.
It's absolutely astounding that until Donald Trump and Israel became involved, it was established amongst the British people that the Iranian Republic were the Islamic Republic, sorry, were a brutal regime doing terrible things, and especially amongst feminist women like myself, there was huge objection to the execution of women in great numbers, like 64 last year. And suddenly everyone has pivoted into, no, those women have got to stand their oppression because you can't be liberated in this way with a war, and it can't be by Trump and Israel. I mean, I don't know how anybody thinks that there was going to be a magical removal of that regime. And so I wonder what these people are marching for. And more than that, I wonder who they're marching with, because I think the two things coincide. You know, we've got a problem with extremism in this country, and Muslim extremism. And, you know, you've got these willing idiots, again, in the streets en masse, advocating for a really brutal regime. And, you know, the IRGC have just put in charge Ahmad Vahidi, sorry, and he is the man who for 30 years has bolstered, built up and encouraged various terrorist organisations in the Middle East that extend beyond Iran. So the Houthis and Hezbollah, of course, which Israel have been pursuing. But are these people politically naive, or is it just a case of, well, we really don't like Trump, we're nice and protected, so we will go out and do stop the war action because then we look like good people and we're definitely not far right? I honestly, I am disgusted that anybody is not in favour of removing this regime.
I know. It's extraordinary, isn't it? But as you say, they're so kind of demented because of their anti-Israeli stance and anti-Jewish stance that it's almost like anyone who's their enemy is my friend.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Absolutely. And also, you know, some of the reasons that people are coming up with for being stop the war or against the war, etc., are just they're politically lazy. I think they're kind of selfish reasons, but they're very predictable as well, saying, well, it didn't work in Afghanistan. So the assumption is that we never, ever are allowed to expect anybody to rise up or take action against any oppressive regime ever again. Well, surely that's what terrorism achieves, and surely that's what these brutal regimes want. And it also assumes that the Iranian people are the same as the Afghanistan and the Taliban, and that's the Afghani people and the Taliban, and that's simply not true. And there's an element of racism. You know, all brown people in the area are the same and will behave the same. And you know, the Iranians, and do these people speak to Iranians? Because, you know, my partner and I went and stood with the Iranians against a Stop the War protest a couple of weeks ago, and they were very much in favour of what's happening and delighted, jubilant, you know, singing, dancing, cheering.
Right.
So I think some of these rather protected protesters who were, you know, nicely and away from any experience of what's happening to the Iranians are getting on the streets as some sort of performative morality, maybe.
Yes, it's very weird. I think we've got a clip actually of this pro-Iranian regime demonstration in London at the weekend. Let's have a look. I mean, there's an incredible number of people. That's Vauxhall Bridge, I think, and they're going all the way down the embankment towards Westminster. You know, probably, I don't know, tens of thousands of people there. They can't all be Iranians. They must surely be people from other countries and or this country.
Well, I think it's a new flag and a new day out, isn't it? They've been doing the Gazan protests, the pro-Palestinian protests now for well over 2 years. And I think this is, for some people, it's this performativity again, and it's grab a new flag. This is a new cause. Let's all get on board. Great day out. And that's both naive and also disgusting. And these people need to wake up. They're either keen to support terrorists, which is, this is what they are doing. They are supporting terrorists and a terrorist regime, and they're supporting oppression. And there are women on those protests. Why are they there? The Iranian regime gouges out women's eyes if they, object to their own oppression, or if they have been accused of adultery, for example, or they take off their hijab or something like that. Gouging out eyes, hanging them, executing them in other ways, torture in other ways. Why are women there supporting that? I would have to have a woman in front of me to say, I support Iranian women being oppressed in these vile ways, because I would rather march on this march to support that regime. I don't know how anyone justifies that or sleeps at night when they have done, and they should stop, and they should stop quickly.
It's amazing. But I mean, I've seen videos, and I'm sure you might have seen, Kelvin, as well, from America, where they go around campuses and ask young women in these campuses, where do women have more rights? Is it America or Iran? And they all go, oh, it's Iran. Women don't have rights in America. And you just think, who's teaching you this rubbish, But I mean, meanwhile, we've got the Secretary of State, Steve Reed, yesterday, the Community Secretary, saying that he wants to introduce a bill which will protect people from anti-Muslim hostility, which will apparently be rolled out over the course of the next few weeks and months in schools, in hospitals, in councils, on broadcasters as well, in order to protect Muslims from being abused. Right, but there's nothing in there about anti-Semitism. There's nothing in there about, anti-Britishness.
I know. I'm terrified by that, actually, because, every point that I would make that is against Muslim extremism, I would be unable to make. And that is silencing, the protection of the British people from a threat that they might experience both here, like we did in Birmingham with the police there during the MOCKERY Tel Aviv match. We're not allowed to say anything anymore. Whereas, during that time in Birmingham, the politicians, the local politicians there, were riling up hundreds of thousands of people and having to tell them not to bring weapons to that protest. Yeah. So there is no equality to the way that kind of bill is being introduced, and it's a chilling prospect of the suppression of free speech and all the things that we're saying that are legitimate criticisms of war, or of the problems that we're having here with male violence against women from certain quarters, grooming gangs. We will no longer be able to voice any of those issues, and that should terrify everyone.
Yes, because there's no, and we talked about this earlier, Kelvin, there's no apparent framework around this particular suggestion from Steve Reed. There's no definition of what it is that you're not supposed to be saying, but you're not meant to apparently ridicule people. You're not meant to make fun of people. Part of the British way of life, surely, is that we make fun of everyone. Why should one particular group of people be protected from being made fun of?
Yeah. Well, that I've been on the gender critical side of the debate as well, where there's been that suppression of speech around the issue of gender ideology. So I know very quickly how you can fall foul of somebody's definition of hate speech. And this one seems even more of a threat to that than even, that issue of being able to say what a woman is. Why can we not criticize Islam? I would be critical of the way that Islam treats women. I would be critical of Sharia because of the way that it oppresses women. And supposing I want to say ban the burqa, for example, if I believe that, I don't believe any woman grows up wanting to be covered head to foot. If I start to say that beyond into this, the application of this bill, will I be arrested? Maybe. Okay, arrest me, because I'm going to keep saying all of those things. So, I'm getting old now. I'm 60 this year. But if somebody puts me in jail for that kind of comment, then
but it's insane to be even having these conversations, isn't it? I mean, the idea
I think there's a huge danger for this, for your show, a huge danger for anybody who takes a different view from a traditional, unless you're a Muslim, you can claim racism, which seems to be going to be the next shout.
Yeah.
And the other aspect will happen is that people with licenses to broadcast actually won't have anybody come on who will say anything which they believe may endanger the license.
Yeah.
So you have so this is a massive attack on free speech, and also it's a religion, right? I don't have to believe what they believe.
No.
I don't believe it to be right that women have to have their heads covered. I don't believe it right that I have to eat food which has been killed in a certain way. There are a million and one reasons why I can be critical. My question is, will I end up in what is now the unused Ian Huntley cell?
Right. Yeah, right.
I mean, I make a light point there, but actually it is a serious problem and this is where the lawyer doesn't give a stuff. What they're interested in is pushing the law become an act. And once it's there, there's more money to be made. This lot here, this is a really comfortable commercial circle for them.
But in fact, even for Labour, it's not working anymore because Labour have lost the Muslim vote certainly in Gorton and Denton. It's gone to the Greens. So, they're busy trying to shore up something that's already kind of going out the other door. So it's a kind of pointless activity anyway. But all that will happen is we'll go back to the old days of Radio Caroline, and we'll get a boat and we'll pitch it off the coast of Dover. And we'll film the dinghies coming in, and we'll broadcast from there.
I'll be doing the rowing,
and you'll be doing the rowing, and Jean can come on and help us out with the sailing, and
kitchen,
put the masts up
obviously.
and all that. I mean, but that's what will end up happening.
Yeah.
Well, I think another astonishing thing that emerged from Jean there is that she's coming up to 60.
Yeah.
We need those drugs, Jean. You need to start marketing them. You two can look like Jean at 60, right? And all you have to do is explain what a healthy or unhealthy life you're leading.
Brilliant.
Wine and weightlifting.
Wine and weightlifting, there you go.
Yeah.
Similar to my diet, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing as well.
Well, the wine aspect, anyway.
Excellent.
And carrying the weight lifting.
No, listen, you'd be shocked if I told you how much I can lift. Jean, thank you very much indeed. Great to see you. Very, very good to have you on, as ever. Jean Hatchett there, great woman. Some of the extraordinary things.
So where does she live then?
Sheffield.
Sheffield.
So she was,
we
if you
should
remember,
say that, shouldn't we?
so if you remember, what she was.
Oh, I know what her story was.
Yeah.
Was she the lady that originally
went up
smoked this out?
Yeah, she went up to these. There was three guys, older guys, who were knocking on people's doors.
Yeah.
One of them assaulted her partner, right, which is on camera.
Oh,
and
right.
She just told us the police are doing nothing about it. Because the police are obviously captured by these characters who are pro-Palestinian. The guy was wearing, I think we had this conversation before, he was wearing the watermelon type hat, which is red, white and green, which is the Palestinian symbol. And they were horrible, ghastly individuals, and they ended up leaving, but not before one of them smacked her partner. Physically assaulted her, yeah. And the police are doing nothing.
Why won't the cops do anything about it?
Well, because the cops are on their side. That's why.
That can't be the case.
That's obviously the case. We're talking South Yorkshire Police, right? Who we know are not exactly the world's greatest police organisation.
No, they were very unhelpful. They were very unhelpful over Hillsborough.
Well, they were.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely right. And they've become even less helpful to ordinary people because they're all captured by the so-called community brigade, and the community brigade, quite cleverly, tends to be people who are pro-Palestine, right?
Yeah. Do you know that expression, community cohesion? You're going to hear a lot of this, by the way. There'll be that guy, Steve Reed, who ran Lambeth Council, which should actually mean you're excluded from public life rather than
He's probably
included.
the guy that appointed the Rwandan war criminal as head of the library.
Hello, Rwanda war criminals. Can I help you? You've got a job in Lambeth and a council flat. Yeah. Okay. We'll get back to you. Bye.
Yeah. Any chance of sending any books out anywhere? Anyway, listen. We've got Angela Levin coming up to talk about the Royals and possibly the King's tour to America, which Kelvin was talking about earlier. Today is my 50th birthday, says Johnny from Burnley. Many happy returns, Johnny from Burnley. Love the show. Kelvin, Russell, Emma, Rafe, James Price, Orla, etc. All amazing. I can see a new channel growing. Well, listen, there's absolutely no reason why not. And if they do try and shut us down, as I say, we'll set it up in the channel. On a ship. Sorry, Pooch, I'm not following another channel. I'm already just listening, not watching, because that awful plate irritates me every morning. Yet you prioritise it. I do not want to see it anymore. So it's a no from me. The one back there, you can see it was sent in to us, a picture of Harry and Meghan. A lot of people find it distasteful. But that's why it's there.
It is. How much of it? Oh, it's not really.
I mean, it's not really visible.
Visible.
It's kind of.
It just irritates.
It can be irritating. But people get irritated by funny things. I mean, some people.
I tell you what, we
irritated.
should definitely. Hey, Pooch, what we should definitely do is put this on Alexa, because more cars are carrying it. And you know, I recognise some of the commercial attractions of not putting it on Alexa, but actually the volume will be helpful.
Yeah.
And one day you'll be billionaires, you and Mike. So good for you.
Starting to sound like Only Fools and Horses now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, one day, and you're from Peckham, aren't you? And one day,
Camberwell, actually.
One day,
Camberwell.
yeah, that's like people used to say to me, I'm from Hampstead, even though they're Cricklewood, actually. But anyway, listen, it's time for Edward Hughes with the news, isn't it? And then we'll have a poll update.
Good morning. I'm Edward Hughes with your news. The escalating war in Iran dominates UK headlines, with Chancellor Richard III warning MPS that the conflict is putting upward pressure on inflation through surging oil prices. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has cautioned the crisis could affect every household and every business, with Reeves indicating readiness to support releasing strategic oil reserves to ease impacts. The UK is bolstering its military presence in the region, including deploying HMS Dragon towards Cyprus. Domestically, a major fire near Glasgow Central Station has destroyed retail units, leaving independent business owners heartbroken and causing train disruptions. MPs have rejected calls for outright ban on social media for under 16s, opting instead for more flexible regulations. That's the main UK picture this Tuesday. Please remember to like and subscribe. Back to you, Mikey Boy.
Look, I've told you, Hughes, you call me Mikey Boy one more time, you'll be out of a job. You know, we could easily find somebody else to do it, you know.
Yeah.
We could get Myrie Clive to do it instead of Edward Hughes. What hairstyle should Mike get? Skinhead 23%, 60s beat 21%, Teddy Boy 34%, Punk 22%. So
I think that is a great piece of kit. Whoever did that should get a big thumbs up. That's very clever.
Well, this hair
whoever
thing.
that is.
Yes.
Who is that?
Tiberius Kirk.
Yeah, well done, Tiberius.
Yeah. A couple of other people did me up with Anne Widdicombe's hair, and I ended up looking like Michael Fabricant, you know, who's a very strange-looking character. It's not a bad guy, actually, but quite an odd character. Now, anyway, let's talk about dogs.
Yeah,
I know,
dogs.
I don't know if you have a dog at the moment.
I've had dogs throughout my life.
I remember your lovely Labrador called Paddy.
Oh, yes.
I remember him because I remember meeting him in your house years ago.
Did you?
Yeah. He was,
where was that? Which house
in
was
Weybridge, the one at the end of the road, which is presumably the one you've still got it, I think, haven't you?
Yeah. Was it Paddy?
It was Paddy. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay,
yeah.
fine.
It was when you were with that woman we don't talk about.
Yes. Well, thanks very much, and let's move on.
We'll move on swiftly. But we could do Pooch's Pooch actually. This is a good time to do it, isn't it? This is Cheddar. This is Cheddar watching me, right? He's quite keen on the show.
Right.
This was sent in by Cheddar's mum.
Yeah.
Not sure. Lucy is her name, yeah. And here's the world's biggest dog. The dog comes on, right? We love a dog on a football pitch. He won't let go of the ball, but he's also huge. And the players are all stroking him, right? And then they end up just having to carry him off. He's a giant.
Dear, that is great. Where was that from?
It looks foreign, doesn't it? Yeah.
It looks foreign. Thanks very much.
I'm not quite sure. Look at this. This is quite happy to be carried. Then he gets passed over.
Dear. Mind you, quite a friendly dog.
Very friendly.
Carted around like that.
Very friendly. So it says here, right, we already knew, this is in the Daily Mail, page 3, we already knew the man's best friend, but now that seems to extend beyond this earthly plane. Half of the UK's 10 million dog owners have written their beloved Pooch into their will, with an estimated £6.5 billion left in the last testaments to them, right?
Yeah,
2,000 owners, a poll, charity Guide Dogs found 49% have included financial provision for their dog.
Right, well, first of all, that's fair, because when you're gone, nobody gives a damn about your dog, right? Your family are only interested in the money.
Yeah.
They look upon the dog not as a beloved animal to whom that they should share the love and cost.
They should, though, shouldn't they?
They should do, but they don't. And therefore, you've got to make provision for them. And actually, I think an investment in the dog is much better than an investment in your family
Yeah.
when you say farewell.
Yes, I mean, I was fortunate when both my parents died without really any money at all, so there was no
good.
there was no issue.
Yeah.
And I've said the same to my kids. I'm like, I don't mind helping them out while I'm around.
Yeah.
But my plan is not to leave them any money.
Okay.
My plan is to spend it all basically and
Okay.
let them, because I think it's a character building thing. If you let your kids make their own money.
Yeah.
Right. That's what my parents did.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. However, that is you would not win in a court case. So, for instance, I'm not saying it's true of your family, but there are families where the children have not at all been successful. Okay,
Right.
so that if you don't leave them money, they can go to court, and a judge will find for the child on the basis that the alternative is that the state may be picking up. Maybe
you
picking
mean
up
if there's a house involved or something like that?
yeah, if there is genuine money.
Or an estate
you
of
know,
some
if for instance, if you left, I don't know, 400 grand and you had 3 kids, right, and you decided you didn't like one of them, right, or that actually the other way around is that child didn't like you, right? They never visited you.
Right.
They never sent a card. They
fell out with them or something?
Yeah, you fell out with them over some issue.
Yeah.
However, if you then chop them out of the will, then they go to court and almost certainly they will get a chunk of something.
Yeah.
Right? So actually, you should, when you make your will, you should bear that in mind and leave them enough, but not enough for them to carry on causing not.
Well,
so
one of the stories I hear a lot at the moment as well is where you've got, say, elderly parents or grandparents now, and the kids are in their 50s maybe, and their kids are now 20-something, and they bypass the 50-somethings and just give it straight to the 20-somethings. And so and there's a couple of friends of mine that I know who are kind of slightly impecunious because of circumstances, and they're like, but we're not getting any of the money from my parents' will because they're giving it all to the grandkids. And there's nothing you can really do about that, is there?
There is nothing you can do about that. However, I would not be in favour of doing that. The reason they're doing it is because actually the 50-year-olds would then leave their money to their own kids, and therefore you pay tax on it twice.
That's true, because the inheritance tax thing is a nightmare, isn't it?
It is a nightmare. And so, look, I would... inheritance becomes a much bigger issue if you are of a certain age, and actually you then begin to look at your own family in a rather different way, and they begin to look at you. First of all, they never liked you very much, but as you
quite like look at the house.
And as you head towards the Grim Reaper, you become more attractive to them.
Yes.
That may or may not be true.
I mean, I've always been very fortunate with my family. They all seem to quite like me, despite all of the terrible things I've done. They're all still quite sort of supportive of me.
Right, well, that's jolly good, isn't
nice.
it? That's
nice.
jolly good, and also rare, I would think.
It probably is, yeah.
I would think there's more tension now between families as it becomes clear one important aspect is that the children may not have done.
No, there's so many kids now living at home into their 30s,
correct,
into their 40s sometimes,
and that's where I agreed with that with Milburn, where he said actually that is a form of benefit, which means that the children don't need to strive so hard. Why? Because they're not being charged rent, or it's unlikely they are, and if they are, it's at a massive discount.
Right.
They're being given their food, their clothes are clean for them, and all the rest of it. However, they should be out in the real world, because if they're in the real world, those bills are not being picked up by them. They're having to pay for them themselves, and on that basis, they have to earn more, and they have to work harder, and they have to seek preferment. Right? There's nothing wrong with being ambitious. There's nothing wrong with making a bit more money this year than you did last year.
Right.
Not through a
Good
trade
luck
union,
if you can.
but not through a trade union, but through yourself.
Right.
So the future I see is more and more kids actually don't work for corporations. Yeah, they do for a little while, and then they set out on their own.
Yeah.
Because that way, at least they know that they are in charge of their futures. Whereas you're not in charge of your future. You could have done a very good job for a very big company, and then somebody comes along to you and says, Look, this AI,
Yeah.
or some
Sorry,
other
yeah.
reason,
Yeah.
or there's been
Well,
a
thanks
war,
very much. Yeah.
right? You get a tap on the shoulder and you're gone. And then where are you?
Yeah.
Then where are you?
Right.
So my advice to everybody is set out on your own stuff now, if you possibly can, and be more independent. Don't rely on other people. And of course, this is one of the issues about inheritance. Right, you are actually relying on somebody to die in order to see you through old age, right? And I don't think that's a good idea.
No, I don't think it is either. Right, is it time to do plank of the day?
It is.
It's time to do plank of the day. So I'm going to do it, and we're going to try and do it as quickly as possible because hopefully we're going to get Angela Levin to talk to in a minute. We haven't done the Mike Graham show sign either, have we? So we should do that in a minute as well. But let's do plank of the day.
Hello, it's plank of the day time.
So today's plank of the day has to be the one and only Steve Reed, previously mentioned as the former head of Lambeth Council, where he did an absolutely bang-up job driving it almost into the river of bankruptcy because he doesn't have a clue about how to run anything. But he's now the Communities Minister here in the United Kingdom government, formerly, of course, Environment Minister, even though he had no experience of the environment whatsoever. But he was up in Parliament yesterday, and this is why he's plank of the day, basically saying schools, councils and workplaces are going to be encouraged to monitor incidents of anti-Muslim hostility under plans that critics warn risk having a chilling effect on free speech, right? So instead of having a definition of Islamophobia, which was bad enough, which seems to have now been put on the back burner, they've now decided that the best thing to do is to try and highlight when there's hostility, and you can describe that in any way you like, towards people from the Muslim community. Paul Holmes, the Shadow Communities Minister, said what this does is it risks undermining free speech within the law, it risks hindering legitimate criticism of Islamism, and it risks creating a backdoor blasphemy law. Lord Young, who of course is the director of the Free Speech Union, Toby Young, says it will inevitably have a chilling effect on free speech because people will be inhibited about raising concerns about specifically Muslim issues such as honour killings for fear of being accused of anti-Muslim hostility. It's a completely bonkers idea. It's only Labour government could come up with this kind of nonsense. It will backfire badly. It will end up with people being put in prison for saying things which ordinarily would be not offensive at all. And it also puts the onus on the person who feels offended. So it's a bit like me saying, I've come to work today and Kelvin Mackenzie's called me a bad name, so I want him prosecuted and sent to prison to the full extent of the law. That's not the way the law should work. That's not the way free speech works, and that's not the way this should work. So, for heaven's sake, Steve Reed, would you please take a chill pill, think about it, and just remember that this is Britain, where people have a right to say what they think, a right to make fun of other people, and a right particularly to make fun of other people's religion. Yeah. And if you don't think we're in a country that can do that, then you're not welcome here, to be quite frank. So that's why you are plank of the day, Steve Reed.
Hello, it's plank of the day time.
Angela's not here.
No.
That's a shame. So should we do this, right? We've had plenty of these applied for. Have you got one of these, by the way? Have I given you one for your car? You don't have to put it on your car. Have one of those, right?
I don't think I'll fit on a mobility scooter.
Very harsh. Anyway, this is the Mike Graham Show bumper sticker. You don't have to put it on your car. You can stick it anywhere you like. But if you send a size C5 snapped address envelope to fit this A5 bumper sticker to hit this address, the Mike Graham Show, P.O. Box 257. Hey, I'm just reading out the address. Right?
Hold on a second.
Hang on, I've got to read the address out. Yeah, it will fit. Of course it will.
Strange shaped bumper.
No, it's not. I'll show you the size of the envelope for you in a minute. The Mike Graham Show, P.O. Box 257, Battle, East Sussex, TN33 3FS. Right? Now, we've already sent out a couple of hundred of these already. So there'll be a new batch going out, I'm sure, in the next couple of days. But yeah, no, people are loving it.
Yeah, good. Really, well, look, I'm in favour of that. I loved the
This is also free advertising for us, right? So people stick it out there.
No, I totally agree with that. I loved the US because I loved the bumper sticker idea.
Yes.
That was the biggest, most interesting aspect, I thought, of much of my time in the US, was looking at those bumper stickers and agreeing with them.
They love a political one, don't they?
Yeah, but why don't... Right, I think you could have better bumper sticker than that.
Yeah. Well, you can take it up with Donald McLeod, who's our other business partner.
Okay,
because he organised the merch.
Okay.
It's a little bigger than I would have done, you know. But we can't be too critical, can we? Because I mean, everybody's got their job to do in this organisation, and we try and.
Yes. Look, I totally get that. It's better to have done it.
Yes.
Than not to have done
exactly.
it. So that is
and
true.
once we've got rid of all these, we can do another set, and maybe we can redesign it. I don't know.
Can I just say? Do you know that line there? 1 in 4 migrants claiming benefits.
Yes.
Is that true?
That's a story in the Sun actually today, which we haven't covered. So it's a good thing that you point that out. Here it is.
That's incredible.
This is,
Go on,
this
read
is the
that
story.
out.
It says 1 in 4 settled status migrants. That means people who have come here illegally and have now been given settled status. And they are now claiming benefits, right? And they're all from outside the European Union. There were 179,482 with indefinite leave to remain in the UK, excluding the EU settlement scheme on universal credit in December 2024. So that number will have gone up. The Migration Observatory, using Home Office figures, estimates there are 720,500 non-EU citizens with settled status at the end of 2024. And a quarter of them are on universal credit.
Do you know what? This is our issue, isn't it? We haven't got one destroyer that can go out and defend our base in Cyprus.
No.
Right? Currently, by the time we get out there, it will be over. And we will have looked like a global laughingstock.
Yeah.
What on earth has happened to our country? We haven't got enough money to have a proper military.
Yeah.
But we have got enough money to give to people who come here.
Who shouldn't be here.
Well, actually, in this case, they have allowed to be here. Let's just say that. They're allowed to be here. And instead of working, being part of the deal, yes, I'm afraid, honestly, we don't think we've got enough space for you, but all right, you can come in, right? As part of the deal, you're not getting any benefits.
No.
You're either working.
It's insane.
You're either working or you're leaving.
Yeah.
It's up to you, Squire. Instead of that, they say, actually, welcome. You can stay. And actually, if things
There's
don't
the
go
benefit
right,
office.
There's the benefit office.
Yeah.
I find that very difficult. Round my way, by the way, the other day outside our Job Centre Plus, I wondered what had gone on there since there was a police car parked outside it, and there was no policeman in it. I presume it had gone into the Job Benefit Plus. That there had been some issue that had gone on there. I think if you did a proper documentary about a day in the life at Job Centre Plus. But this is unedited.
It'd be brilliant.
Right? Live streamed. It would be an absolute nightmare, and it would be the complete opposite of the carefully edited, how can I help you? Yes, you want to be a brain surgeon. What's that? You left school at 12. Yes, okay, I'll send you jobs in that line for you. Right? If they had a streaming there and had it on all the time. Fantastic. We then know what kind of people
idea.
are not looking for work. It's a very good idea.
We should maybe look into that, Pooch. Right, it's time to talk to Angela Levin, who is, of course, a quick... Oh, there's a bumper sticker there. What's it on the back of?
It's on the back of his motor.
Can you tell?
Yeah, that's an Audi Quattro.
It's an Audi Quattro, yeah. Very nice too.
Oh, really? I like that.
This is the other thing about this is you can get your demographics right. You can go, oh, these guys are, there's a guy put one on his van, another guy puts one on the back of his lorry.
Okay,
one on the back of a tractor,
you might be right.
Audi Quattro. Anyway, let's talk to Angela Levin because... she's just gone. Because I wanted to talk to her about the upcoming visit of King Charles to the United States of America, one, and also about the story that appeared at the weekend in the Mail on Sunday, that Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie have now been dragged into the scandal engulfing their dad, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. I think she's now back. Angela, hello.
No, she's not.
No? It says guest here.
Yeah, sorry. She just disappeared.
We can talk about Beatrice and Eugenie.
So the story here.
I mean, the game is up, isn't it?
She basically an email leaked to the Mail on Sunday shows that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor pushed for his daughter to receive £100,000 in secret payments from a billionaire he was helping while he was trade envoy.
Yeah. It's
scandalous.
Right, but they're in big trouble. Do you see that Royal Ascot have said you can't sit in the carriage anymore?
Right.
You go
You've got to go with the hoi polloi.
Yeah, you wave it. Well, they won't be
Carol
there.
Vorderman.
They won't. Well, they need a big carriage for.
They
wouldn't
certainly
they?
would.
Anyway, sorry, Carol. The Welsh win
Bumper
back.
sticker would go well on her, actually.
Nice bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So so they can't give us all of that. What they can do is do what my old ex-grandmother-in-law used to do. She used to, whenever she talked about money, she used to go like that.
Right.
Well, in their case, they must have been born to go like that. So they are in big trouble now. They're in their mid to late 30s, aren't they? So banned from Ascot.
Yes.
Which I suspect is quite a big thing.
One of them also, I can't remember which one, has one of them has been dropped from a charity or has resigned from a charity.
An anti-slavery charity.
Yeah, right.
She's, by the way, she's now the president of a pro-slavery charity.
Well, I mean, that would be more in keeping with. Angela's back. Angela, sorry about that. Hello.
Oh, here we go.
We can't hear it. We can't hear you.
Guest has muted themselves.
Have you muted themselves?
Mute.
You've muted yourself.
Hi.
Oh, there
I've
you go.
been here for 25 minutes.
Have you?
Shouting, can't you see me? Can't you
Oh
see
dear.
me?
I'm terribly sorry. Well, in that case, like the next time that happens, what you should do is message Charlotte.
Yeah.
And then she can tell us.
I've missed a message 4
Oh,
times.
okay. Well, we must apologise.
So sorry.
Sorry. No,
I'm sorry
please.
For you.
No,
I've
I'm
been
sorry.
listening to all your stories about the dog and everything, and
Yes.
hello.
I don't know if you know Kelvin Mackenzie. He's to my left
I
here.
do.
Let's talk about the King first of all. He's may or may not be off to America. What are you hearing? I'm hearing that the conversation between Keir Starmer and Donald Trump did not go particularly well on the phone. But at the moment, the King is still going.
Yes. I mean, if he doesn't go, it looks like a bit of a nasty thing to Trump.
Yes.
But on the other hand, if he does go, it won't work for here.
Right.
So I think it's very difficult for him. He might be a bit too unwell. That might be an excuse. But I think that he should go, really. But the trouble there is that Harry and Meghan are going to be very close by, and I think that's also very difficult. So it's hard.
Well, I mean, they're going to be a sort of 3,000 miles away, aren't they? Because they're presumably not coming to Washington or to the New York area.
No, they'll be in Australia, but they will be sort of taking all the high stuff out of it, so everybody wants to look at them and not really the King. We'll have to see.
Right. And why are they going to Australia anyway? That seems to be a bit out of the blue.
Well, this is very interesting. I think it's the fact that because Netflix got rid of them, Meghan always has to do something very good quickly first, as if she doesn't care. So what she's doing now is that she and Harry are going to Australia, and she wants to sell her goods there. Now, it's absolutely ridiculous because just to go to sell one or two things is a very long way to go, and she's not at all popular there. I've had lots of people sending me emails saying, "Oh, we remember her 6 years ago. No, please, Angela, stop her coming. There's nothing I can do." But one of the things is last time Meghan said she ought to get money every time she did some sort of visit. So that upset everyone. She also said that everybody had to make cake, and she would get them to go and do this late at night and make them make sort of 3 or 4 until she actually liked them. But the worst thing was that she had only one wing, the Admiralty House official room for the Governor General, and she said, she and Harry said loudly, it should be for us, we should have the whole thing. So can you imagine that? Nobody likes her at all. And she just wants to go because I think she wants to show that she could be more attractive to all of us against the royal family, and because they're lively and she'll smile and all wear nice clothes, and I think that's it. I mean, she's desperate to get rid of the royal family, as is Harry, because he has to desperate to help her, and so she's doing the whole thing for herself. Really, it's ridiculous and terrible.
And it's a really tough time for the royal family at the moment, isn't it? I mean, I know that I don't pay any attention to those Republic idiots, right? But there were boos outside of Westminster Abbey yesterday, not just for King Charles and for Keir Starmer, but also for William and Kate, because these bozos are allowed to turn up wherever they want to go and boo the royal family just because they don't like them.
Yes. But there aren't that many, actually. A lot more people do like them. A lot of people have been very kind about Charles, actually, because they know he's got a terrible, terrible child and a woman who is like a witch. I think she's absolutely extraordinary. She's very good at distraction and she just gets rid of them. I'll be in trouble now for saying this, but who cares? She's just not a very nice person. She never gives up. And so she wants always the photographers absolutely aiming at her. And that's all she really wants. She's got to be seen and known and all that. She could be very grateful to Netflix because they spent a fortune with her and they could thank her very much. She should thank them very much, but she doesn't because she feels it's outrageous. She says, "Oh, I'm very pleased we're not doing it." I should not start a snotty voice as mine, but she says, "You know, they're very slow. I've got to get on. Have held back for my things that I want to sell, so it's much better if I do it myself." Now, she wants to do it herself. What she wants to do is she's got to do social media, boxes and paper, marketing, product development, website design. That's what she's got to do. She does it all on her own because she thinks she's going to do that. She's also going to do this thing on Diana, which she's working on. You know, she can't manage it. She does everything she does is dreadful and shocking.
Right.
But she
And
feels,
also, she's very good at
got to
signing
say
up
what
to.
it is.
She's good to sign up for things, but then she never finishes the contract, does she? I mean, that's kind of her thing. Just one final question on the princesses Beatrice and Eugenie. We were just talking about it before we got you on. Kelvin was saying that you know, they're in a pretty bad place now, aren't they? What do they do now?
Well, they're in a terrible place, actually, aren't they? I mean, a lot of people are worried about what husbands might do, me being one of them, because I think sometimes people don't know that until, you know, it's a bit late to find out about their children, that they were very close to this hideous man, and they don't know what's going to happen next. But they've been told not to go to any of the events of the royal events, and they weren't yesterday at the party and for the Commonwealth.
No.
And so it's very, very difficult. And they've both got young children, and it's a great shame that they'll have to sort of step back. Eugenie had to give up her work for the charities that she did. And I think people will just not work with them because
No.
it smells so bad, doesn't it? It's been so awful that you don't actually want them trying to do good when they've actually not had the right upbringing.
Exactly right. Angela, good to see you. Sorry we came.
Thank you.
Pooch is asking me to. I don't know if you can see the plate behind my shoulder over here, over there actually. But somebody sent it in and we put it up there. It annoys a lot of people. It's a picture of Harry and Meghan on a plate. What do you make of it?
I hate it.
I'll send it on to you. Great stuff, Angela. Good to see you. Thank you very much indeed, Angela Levin. So I mean, it's not. I talk about Anna's.
Why don't you have an official breaking of the plate, like
That's a
suppose
good
you're
idea.
at a Greek wedding?
Yeah, like a Charlotte Street moment.
Yeah. So you start. So get your hammer.
Yeah.
Do it like that. Bang and do it like that.
We could do that.
Honestly, and
You
then
know
put
what,
it out on TikTok.
Maybe we'll do a poll for that.
On the first day of your new
Should we do a poll? All right, poll for the first day of the new show. Okay, listen, now we've run over it. It's 9:32. Listen, thank you to all of you for bearing with us. Thank you for all the guests that appeared today. Thanks to Kelvin McKenzie. Thanks to Pooch. Thanks to Charlotte. We'll be back, of course, tomorrow at 7 a.m. Sharp, as we always are. It's going to be Wednesday already. More Prime Minister's questions, I guess, and not very many answers. Meanwhile, don't be a plank and see if you can do something good for somebody today. That's the new message. See you tomorrow.
Remember, despite all of the others out there, it's always the others. Don't be a plank.